All right, what's up, y'all? AWB, I'm back at it. Um, Today I went to go check out the deposition of the armed fisherman. Hold on, I got it pulled up here. Hold on. Yeah, somebody suggested this the other day when I did that deposition for Lane Myers. So this is going to be a deposition for the armed fisherman, but the armed fisherman is not doing the actual deposition. So that's what's going to make this one a whole lot different than those last depositions, because the last one was done by the actual person who was violated. So I'm going to pull those up in a second. I don't want to waste too much time. Let's go ahead and get into it. So if you haven't already, this is the armed fisherman. I'm sure everybody pretty much knows who this is, and especially who's in this field. But yeah, let's check it out. So this is the event that happened to what caused them to be in this deposition. So let's get started and watch this.
I have to kind of let people know about, whether it's government officials, police, or just the public, that we have rights in America, and that's what it's about. It's about education.
As long as he has that fishing pole in his hand and he says he's going fishing, he can carry a firearm on him.
Okay.
An open firearm? Open carry firearm.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Nobody has gotten this shit, and it's just getting so beyond, it's not getting safe.
Well, if you could explain to Mr. McDuffie over here that is a complete legal right, I'm living the dream, bro. Living the dream, man.
What's going on, everybody? Soliaker here, and this video is from one of the very first, I guess you would say, bad interactions that I ever had. But this is going back about 2.5 years. When I first started open carrying, I wasn't as well educated as I am today. So I hope some of y'all understand some of the things that I do say in this video are only because I didn't exactly know how to say the right thing, I guess, in a way. I knew what I was trying to say, but the words just came out completely wrong. But anyway, I have no problems. You're probably going to eat me up about some of the things I say in this video, but this is a video that's been going on for a while. There is a lawsuit pending about this. I can't talk about it, but I just wanted to bring this one back to light because this video actually just hit 1 million views. 1 million views from 2 years ago. And, this is basically how I became this activist. The reason I became an activist is because of Miami, because I wanted to bring light to this law so that others would never have to go through the things I went through that day. So let's get into this video. Like I said, try to be easy on me. Once again, I don't care about people's, if you want to bash me, that's okay. I don't hate people for bashing me. Just understand this is the very beginning of everything that I've been learning over the last 2 years, 2.5 years. So I hope you're not overly critical. Criticism's always well taken, because if you look at this video and what happened in my most recent videos, I've come a long way. So once again, try not to be too crucial on me, but don't forget, hit that like, share, and that subscribe button, all that good stuff. And let's get into this video. Solo Yacker, deuces.
What's up, bud? Morning. How you doing? What does?
You gotta leave. You got that gun right there?
Why?
Because you can't carry open.
I can open. Yeah.
Florida statute for you.
Yeah. I just want to let you know, man. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but I'm just letting you know it's completely legal for me to do this.
Okay. That's a Florida statute.
Like, if you want to go ahead and get your superiors here.
Was this just fast or? Nope.
No. What, 10, 12 years? Yeah, go ahead and get your superiors here and get them here so we can get this dealt with so that we can
So we can all enjoy our day.
yeah, because we're just trying to catch fish. We're trying to catch dinner, and you're kind of. If you need to, get FWC as well so they can check our fishing license at the end of the day.
Open carry. Yep. The Florida statute allows open carry.
Florida statute, man. Your city statutes, your city ordinances don't mean anything.
There you go.
Oh, thanks, bud. I know this. I was trying to help you. Is this for you, bud? No? All right.
First of all, I'm not a police officer. I'm part green.
That's fine.
Oh, that's fine. No, we just see a badge. We're trying to be respectful, but at the same time, you're telling us we can't do this, and we're telling you we can.
Open carry. It's concealed carry.
Nope.
Not
Yeah, no.
Do you have a license for that? Or
You don't need a license. That's why we were trying to give you this.
concealed weapon license? You do?
I don't.
Okay, specifically for okay.
I don't.
That's an issue. I think it's gonna be an issue.
It's not going to be an issue. Here you go, buddy. This is the Florida.
Piece of paper with words on it. Hold on.
No, it's not. It's the Florida statute.
Sorry, just call the supervisor. When he needs to call.
Yeah.
I didn't keep an eye on this rod. I've got rod in the water.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of this statute before.
Never heard that one.
Yeah. You hunt?
This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
To educate, whether it be the public or
Yeah. Police officers.
official officer.
I've actually called. I called.
Yeah, I know. I heard.
Yeah.
I wrote
And-
2 letters. They don't respond back.
No, nobody ever does. I tried. All right.
Apparently, really has so much concern with it. Thing. Is there a bathroom in the park?
Yeah.
Right over the hill to the playground.
Right over near the kids section.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a little concerning for me to just, I don't want to scare people, but at the same time, like, how y'all doing?
Look at water, sir.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
I got the thermal over here.
All right. They're all sealed bottles if you want one.
Yeah.
We don't know. We just do this frivolously and just let's go.
Seems like it people doesn't matter.
Sorry you don't know the law.
So for the people on the stream right now, what do y'all? It's obviously legal for him to open carry.
If you could refer to me as a white male, because I am actually a white male. I'm half Irish, so that makes a difference.
Red in your beard. Come on, man.
Sorry, man. I got a little afro in me. I got some Asian.
Tan, man.
I got some Asian in me too. That's why I'm a little more white than anything, right?
As I said, you're not much darker than I am.
Yeah.
I spent my life in the sun. Now my legs are a different story.
I just like it's so like Oh, it's the Afro guy. It's the guy. It's the black guy. Why is it always gonna be the black guy? And he's like, man, I'm gonna fucking get promoted to friggin' no more bicycle riding for me. How you doing? Hey, hey.
Kid, are you?
Hell yeah.
What's going on?
Mike Taylor.
Morning. Stephen Jenkins. Pleasure. What's up, man?
Upstairs.
Hey, man, what's up?
What are you guys up to?
Well, we're waiting for Miami PD.
Oh, they're on the way?
Yeah,
Who called?
yeah. Park Ranger.
Park Ranger said what we're doing is illegal.
He's like, oh yeah, you can't do this. The guy with the afro, he's like totally not carrying a concealed weapons.
Yeah, he's like, yo, you don't have a concealed way, then you're definitely illegal.
Yeah, you're definitely going to jail today, buddy.
Repeat what you just asked. Do you have a concealed
Right.
carry
Do
permit?
we have literature for him?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Simple.
Yeah. I tried. I'm like, hey, here. Nope. No, this factual information.
See what we catch with spoons when we don't move them. Oh, look. Real still locked up.
At this point, I don't even need a fishing pole. I got a fishing pole right behind me. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not even catching it. I ain't even ring bait.
Oh, here they come. And he's telling people to go the other way.
What is this? Are they going to stand down? Like,
No, they're probably not going to stand down and walk you over here.
no, I'm saying, like, why are they coming up like this? Like, I'm threatening that.
I feel like this. At least they don't have carbines in their hands, guys. That's pretty nice. I was expecting at least 20 officers with carbines. So, 5 and only sidearms.
All right, everybody. Eric Friday, Eric, Kevin, everybody that you know. We've got a little police interaction happen here, down here at Miami. We're just going to keep this going live just so that there's no bullshit. We're all fishing. We're all open carrying and completely legal. And we're about to find out what's going to go down.
Hopefully they're super nice.
This should be a good interaction. They should be like, hey, just respecting the law, and that's what we're doing. Even though the park ranger did say something about me having an afro and being we won't say an African American male, but just saying something about my afro. But we'll see what happens.
That was supposed to happen.
Hands down. Hands down. Don't move for the gun. Don't move for the gun.
I ain't touching my gun, man.
Put it on your head. Put it on your
Now, just think of how insane this is. Why would he got a gun and why would y'all approach him like this when it's obvious he's not?
Why? What's going on, man? What's going on, guys? I'm not resisting. Not resisting. Not resisting.
At y'all,
I don't know what's going on.
explain to you now.
Hey, I'm letting you know within the Florida statute. Hey, please, it's locked and loaded, buddy. It's a serpent holstered. Please.
Hey, Gus, brother. We got 2 over here. We got 4. My sidearm's hot as well. Sit down. Huh? My sidearm is hot.
Sit down? Are you telling me to sit down? I'm sitting down.
Sit down.
I'm trying.
We're gonna explain. We're gonna explain it to you, man.
Hey, if you can, excuse me, officer. I'm not trying to resist, but you see that little paper over there? You see that paper?
Relax.
Hey, excuse me, sir.
Okay, go have a seat. We'll talk about that.
But see that paper over there?
We'll deal with it. Go have a seat for me first.
This is
Go across your legs for me.
This is Hey, I do not consent. I'm trying to preach my 4th, my 5th, my 1st, my 2nd. This is all a bunch of bullshit.
Are you with them, sir?
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on, guys, because you should know the friggin' open carry statute while you're fishing, hunting, or camping, but obviously you don't. This is against my Second Amendment right.
We're gonna have a we can have a conversation about whatever in just a second, guys.
Yes, sir.
They don't want to have a conversation about nothing.
Once they read the statute, I'm sure everything will be cleared up.
Am I under arrest?
It's so crazy how they go about
No, sir, you're just being detained right now.
doing it.
For what? For being a legal citizen? This is a bunch of friggin' hey guys.
He said he doesn't have it, buddy. That's all you have, sir? Go ahead, stand up for a minute. Let me double check it. Sit back down. I want you.
The way police go about handling
Fuck, man.
this entire situation is just
So, yeah.
so all they know is escalation. That's the only thing they did. They approached the situation.
Excuse me, sir.
Instantly
You see that
escalated.
over there by that black bag?
They
And there's a
were trying
Florida
to-
statute right there that'll help you understand why we're out here. No, sir. But sir, you see where you're looking? No, not mine.
Not showing any aggression, but they are
Excuse me, sir.
aggressive.
Officer William or Villamont.
or worse.
Excuse me, sir. Mitchell, can you look at that little paper right there next to that black bag? It'll explain the Florida statute while open carrying, while fishing, hunting, and camping. I'm just trying to help you out.
We'll
figure it out.
I understand.
And
Sir,
they
I
keep
don't
looking at
consent to
it.
you
That doesn't
searching
mean-
my bag.
It just means we're gonna do what we want.
I told you about the little friggin' that paper that right there that would explain that we're all legal citizens and we're not doing anything illegal. This is yeah, I got squid and shrimp. I'm fishing. I'm trying to be legal, sir. I'm trying to help you out, man. Right now, this is not helping me out. This is,
You know what it is?
what is it?
Officer safety. Your safety.
I'm not. I wasn't
what it
threatening
is?
nobody.
I know, but well, we don't.
I wasn't hurting nobody. My name's Mike Taylor. What do you
It's crazy that they claim officer safety when they don't care nothing about officer safety.
want to know?
Well, let me not say that. Let me say that's all they care about is officer safety. Nobody else's safety.
My name's Mitchell.
You did.
we're
Okay,
gonna
see,
find
and
out.
then
I don't,
okay, as a man to man, I'm trying to help you out.
Okay, and we're gonna get there.
And see that paper right there? Hey, no, I do not consent to any search or seizures of my property, sir. I'm not doing anything illegal.
Understand the situation.
I'm not doing. If I'm doing something illegal,
Is that your name, Taylor?
yes, sir.
Okay.
If I was doing something illegal, I'm all about friggin' saying, yeah, I'm friggin' complying.
Okay, but
But I'm not doing nothing
until
illegal.
we get there, we don't know.
But sir,
You
I'm
don't
asking
know.
you just to look at that paper right there, right next to that black bag.
And we will. You got a sense of
You gotta treat me like a friggin'
I'm treating you like I would treat my own son.
no.
You could be my own.
Hold on. If your son was fishing or hunting,
No way you treat him like your own son. Get out of here. And see, they'll say the craziest stuff that doesn't make sense. It's no way you treat your son like that. For one, I would hope that you would know the law and treat your son like a law-abiding citizen, knowing that he's not breaking any laws.
and he was open carrying while fishing, hunting, or camping legally, would you treat your son like this? No. Real man to man. You just asked me.
Yes.
You would not treat
Yes,
you.
and I'll tell you why. Okay? Because in this environment, how we live,
I'm sorry.
this little
I'm
thing-
sorry that there's legal citizens that do the right thing, but you were treating me like an illegal citizen, like I'm doing something wrong.
If there's no,
I'm not.
if there's no problem, then there's no problem. But we have to get there first, okay? Taylor?
Hey, Jonah. Hey,
They said we have to get there first. Well, you should already be there because you took an oath to the Constitution to uphold the Constitution, and he's exercising his Second Amendment right. It's the second one. You got the first one, then you got the second one. I don't know how they don't know. They don't even know the first 5 amendments, and they swore an oath to uphold these rights that we have, and they don't even know. They don't even know the first 5.
Hey, can you help these guys understand that I'm not a friggin' illegal citizen and not doing anything wrong?
We'll get there.
Yeah, you right now, dude, I've got a bad rotator cuff right now, dude. My shoulder's messed up. Can you help me out with, can you hook me in the front?
Just chill.
Can you hook me in the front so I can, my shoulder's messed up?
Yes. Yes. Hold on.
Come on, man. I'm asking, man to man. I'm not doing nothing illegal. I have not resisted. I'm just asking to be hooked in the front so I can't.
Gotta stay back there.
Hey,
Let us.
hey, excuse me, bud. Hey, start recording. Please record.
They didn't even take a second to read the amendment or the Florida statute. They didn't even take the chance to actually learn what's going on here or be educated on what's going on here. They see a gun and they flip out, even though they carry guns every day. They open carry every single day. As soon as they see a citizen do it, it's like, now it's a whole situation about that. Even though we can do it legally, we can do it. It's an American right.
Hey, you are, by the First Amendment, you can start recording. Please record. Please pick up your camera and start recording, man. You know you can.
Michael, just let them do their thing, bro.
Nah, I'm gonna make a.
We're completely legal what we're doing, so.
Yeah, but they're treating, dude, I've got fucking shoulder problems and I'm asking to be hooked in the front because my shoulder.
We'll take care of you.
I'm asking.
Let
Relax,
us assist
relax.
the situation.
Enough is enough. Relax.
You guys tell me enough is enough, but
Relax.
like, come on.
I didn't tell him to relax, and he telling you he got shoulder issues and his shoulder in pain, and they just keep saying relax, relax, relax. I'm telling you, cops are just. It seemed like they just mentally challenged all of them, not all of them, but most of them, and the fact that they hire people like this is insane. What is the hiring process? How are you always hiring mentally handicapped people?
Oh man,
Relax.
you took my gun. You treated me like crap. This ain't cool, man. You know, you wouldn't treat your son like this. You know better.
Yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
You're not being mistreated. Just relax.
I'm asking because my shoulder, man.
I'll help you out, but we gotta assess the situation 1 second. You're carrying on. You're putting drama where drama does not need to be.
You guys have brought the drama. I didn't bring the drama. They pointed guns at me. I didn't point guns at anybody.
Every time we get a gun call like that.
That's the problem with friggin' people in the world, is that there's nutbags and we're a bunch of legal citizens and you're pointing guns at me like I'm trying to kill somebody. I'm fishing. You guys are out of your mind.
When it's all said and done, Michael, the attorney's going to handle it, and we're all going to have a nice. Let Eric Friday do it.
No.
Eric will do his.
Even from the phone call, I actually called Miami PD and was like, hey, if I go down fishing in Miami, you can see it on YouTube. You guys should have already been notified by our lawyers from Florida Carry.
Chris notified them.
Yeah, no shit.
Got a response from FWC as well.
Yeah. Believe it, dude. I've done my homework. I know the law. That's why we're here. It's because it's a legal right, and you guys are treating me like an illegal, like some kind of This is BS. This is a bunch of BS right now.
It's not worth the breath, man.
Dude.
Investigation. Let them do their thing. We'll be back on our way.
Dude, I'm asking just to be hooked in the front so I can deal with my shoulder. They're treating me like dude, you might as well go ahead and call I need a paramedic. My shoulder is messed up because of you guys keeping me in this, and I'm asking. I need a paramedic. Can I get some assistance? I need some medical assistance. Please? I need medical assistance, sir.
Okay.
My shoulder. I've got rotator cuff problems, and right now, because of my shoulder and being detained right now, and I'm asking for help, nobody wants to help? Okay. Go ahead and call them. Get them here. Thank you for calling me a white male, because, you know, that's the real deal right there.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Good. You should, because that's my right.
How simple is it just to look up the law? And they don't even have to look up the law because he has it printed out on a sheet of paper, and they just won't look at it. So that's insane within itself. He got the law printed, and this is why I say it don't matter if you have the law printed out and laminated. They still don't want to. In their minds, I don't know what's going on with them, but even if you got it printed out, laminated, they still it seems like all they do is ignore it, and they do what they want. So that's why I say it don't matter if you recite it and say it over and over again, they still don't get it.
I'm not gonna watch anything, dude. Leave my phone alone, dude. I do not consent to you touching any of my property.
All those people leave.
Dude, I've got a paper right there on this black backpack. Yeah, you guys don't know your laws and you don't know your rules, and this is retarded.
We've done this in what this is like.
What?
City we've done this in.
Dude, there was 200 plus people in Ocala. There was over 15 people in Fort Pierce and where I'm from.
We have about 17 people.
Dude,
it's the first time we've had it.
If you guys actually look at that piece of paper right over there and look at it, and it'll tell you the Florida statute, 790.25, Section 3, subsection H. But none of y'all want to look at it. Y'all want to look at me like I'm some kind of criminal. I'm trying to watch my fishing pole, and I can't catch fish because guess what? You guys are treating me like I'm a criminal. Plain and simple.
Michael, we're not changing their minds. They'll do their investigation.
I don't care about changing their mind. Maybe they will listen.
They won't. They're doing their job. We're doing our thing out here. We'll both go our separate ways.
Hey, please don't touch my. I do not consent to any of my search or seizure of my property. Don't touch my fishing pole. I don't care. You're some kind of fisherman, dude. I catch bigger fish than you are tall. I don't care. Don't touch my fishing pole. Plain and simple.
You get why we got called out.
Dude.
You do understand that, right?
You want to know something? I fish every day in Fort Pierce, Stewart, Jensen Beach every day, and do you know how many times I get police interactions? 0.
But you get why we got called out.
No, I don't.
We didn't just show up here because we wanted.
I'm sorry that the public is not informed about the gun laws here in Florida. That's not my problem. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 of y'all right here, and I've had guns pointed at me, and I'm just asking for a little relief off my shoulder.
Once everything checks out, you guys will be fine.
It's right there.
I'm gonna check you out.
Hey, if you can read the Florida statute right there off that little black bag right there, we're all gonna be good. You guys are gonna.
If everything checks out, you guys will be fine.
You guys are a friggin' joke. I knew. My wife warned me about coming down here, and I was like, you know something, they're not going to be that bad. Forget that. You guys are a joke. We're all fishing. That's what we're doing. Yeah. You guys are worried about us carrying guns, man.
Y'all gotta remember,
yeah.
Is already
You guys, the only reason you guys can open carry your firearm is because of the Florida statute. The Florida statute gives you the right to open carry your firearm. Did you know that? How about that? Obviously not.
Yeah, all they have to do is read it and confirm it.
We're all just fishing.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day. We're just fishing.
But
is it illegal to fish? Have a bunch of friends get together and go fishing? You should go friggin' go see the March of Our Lives that are friggin' trying to take away your gun rights. How about them? That's a crime right there.
Waste of time.
Just because they got a permit, you get to say, "Oh, all right, I get to take away your rights." Yeah, get out of here. Can somebody help me out with my shoulder? Can I get a water? Can I get that water, sir? There's a bunch of fucking clowns, bro.
And then when it comes time for a deposition, they just try to ask, "Oh, I didn't know. Even though he had the statute printed out, he didn't know."
We're gonna sit you on the bench, all right?
The left one.
This one hurts?
Yeah.
All right. You gotta pick you up on this side, right? You got to work with me.
Hold on. I'm about to get my foot under. Good.
There you go. Sit on the bench right here.
Yeah, it's better if I stand up because that's the way it. I mean, I'll sit up against this fence right here, but just allow me to. It makes it better for my shoulder. Just
lean up against the pole.
Yeah. I ain't going nowhere, man. You got my gun. You got everything. So it's like, why am I gonna run? I wouldn't even try to hurt nobody. You know what I mean? That's the funny thing about this. Is nobody was getting hurt. Nobody. And the only person that got hurt today was me. What are you guys gonna do about my vehicle and all the stuff that I got after I got to go to the hospital because of you guys?
I'll be really trusting about
what do I do then?
Doing this because this could go so bad. Especially like me, I'm dark too. You know, it's different when you're a liar. When you dark like me and you try something like this.
Yeah, had me at gunpoint. All of us at point, dude. Told me to get down, put my hand. You kidding me? Jokes, dude. Don't even lie about the situation. What's up? Yeah, good. I'm glad. You guys know you guys are all in the wrong right now. All of them. Dude, I ain't worried about Eric, man. I'm worried about me. Dude,
what would y'all think about me doing something like this? Looking like I look and exercising my rights by open carrying while I'm fishing or going hunting. Imagine how this would go for me. And he's mixed and a lighter complexion. But could you imagine how they would treat me? How y'all think this would have went if I was the one that they ran up on like that? Come on.
I was already targeted from the friggin' park ranger when I was called with an afro. You kidding me? I was already targeted. The first person they pointed guns at was me.
Yep.
I turned right. There they were pointing guns saying, "Put your hands." I'm like, whoa, what am I doing wrong? All y'all are wrong. Mitchell, you've been actually somewhat nice until you kind of got quiet because they all told you to be. But you know damn well you in the wrong. Wrong. You wouldn't treat your son like this? I wouldn't treat my son like this. Dude, if my son had a mental illness, I would never let my son near a gun. And you know that I ain't got no mental problems. I'm just out here fishing. And you guys are treating me like some kind of African-American criminal. This is bullshit.
At the end of the day,
I wouldn't even try this. Y'all got to like I go out there with just the camera and they still act crazy with me. So could you imagine if I went out there armed?
Where's this ambulance, man?
Open carrying?
My shoulder's screwed up right now, man. And if you guys got shot, they'd be here a lot quicker. Because it's me today, you guys want to take your sweet ass time.
Looking like
I understand.
No.
Don't worry, man.
It would have been
just like I friggin' posted your friggin' phone call to Miami PD about open carry laws. I'm gonna be posting the same stuff about you guys treating us like a bunch of criminals. All 10, 12 of y'all, compared to the friggin' 8 of us that were out here legally fishing. Legally. Legal citizens. You guys are a bunch of crazy friggin' nutbags. Just because our guns are probably bigger and powerful than yours. That's all I could tell you. Like, yeah, can you loosen this left one, man? My shoulder's really screwed up, man. I'm asking because it's in pain, not because I'm saying I'm trying to get away. I ain't running. Where am I running? Dude, there's 12 of y'all and there's 1 of me. I ain't running. Unless y'all can't swim, I'm jumping in the water, but I ain't jumping in the water. Tide's going out. I'm going out the ocean.
All they do. And the thing is, he has the statute printed. All it would have
As
to
a
do is
matter of
read
fact,
it.
hey, before every one of y'all police officers leave, I want your business card or your police ID number in front of my camera, because that is my legal right to know who I am talking with.
We're still waiting, Gus?
Nobody's read the statute yet. Look how many of them it is.
Every one of y'all.
None of them could have read the statute. Just one person. Hey, y'all, let's go check out this statute.
Yeah, it's all on this paper right here, but y'all don't even look at it. You don't even care. You guys can't read for yourselves or nothing.
They're the only criminals here.
I'm not about calling shots. I'm just trying to help them. Yeah. They could figure it out for themselves if they could just read. If they understand, obviously they went to school for law, or at least Florida law, and the Florida law is right there. All you got to do is read it.
Nobody. None of them would just look at it.
Can I reel that in?
That's insane. None of them would even look at the statute.
Can I reel that in? Can you reel
so
it
many
in?
of them.
Just keep
But they're just standing there. Nothing. All of them just wasting time. Just standing there.
There must be something on it. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Just don't want to lose the rod.
The worst part is we're out here fishing. The police get to catch our fish.
Insane. Why would none of them read the statute? They're just all just standing there for no reason. All they would took was none of them just read the statute. That's why I said it don't matter if you got the statute printed out, laminated. They still act like this, no matter what. And I could just imagine if he would have been darker, it would have been. If it would have been me, this situation would be even worse. If I would have been more cops out there.
They're a bunch of clowns, dude.
All of them. None of them would just read the statute. Not one of them.
Nah, you should let them out here because we're all legal citizens, not trying to harm nobody. At the end of the day,
none of them know none of them know the right. They don't know our right. They don't know the law. None of them. And even if they didn't,
bring them out because you know something. They should be able to come out here and videotape this right now in front of y'all and make y'all look like a bunch of clowns. Because y'all know y'all doing nothing wrong.
Yep, that's what it seemed like.
Can somebody just release this one, just the left one, just a little bit?
Why they don't just cuff me?
Dude, you're saying a little bit, man. I'm telling you, my shoulder's fucking shot out right now.
He shouldn't be cuffed. But if they did cuff him, why not just cuff him in the front? You already took his weapon. This entire situation is insane. They already took all the weapons. The only people who have weapons here right now are the cops. And they just standing there. None of them will read the statute. What are y'all waiting around for? Oh, we just got to figure it out. This is them figuring it out. It's stupid, man. It's the same.
I'm gonna need those two guys leaving. If they leave, I need their names and badge numbers, please. I need all y'all's badge numbers.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Who wants to start? All right, good. We got one stepping up right now. What? Where am I going? You hurt my left shoulder, man.
All right, I'll get your right shoulder.
All right, perfect. Where are we going?
My car.
Why?
Because
Yeah.
comfortable, so I'm gonna sit you down in the car so you be comfortable.
Yeah, I don't need to be sat down right now. I need your name.
That they take is black.
I'll give you my name.
I want your name.
I'll write it down for you.
No, you don't need to write it down. I need to hear it.
Beatty, F-E-R-B-E-Y-R-E.
And badge number?
40.
Thank you.
Crazy.
And yours, ma'am?
He's not even black.
1084.
1084. Perfect. That's a good start. There's my ride right there. That's awesome, dude. You're good.
This is the guy they called Rick.
Dude, I ain't been drinking nothing, man. Oh, I'm sorry I smell like alcohol, but friggin' I got up fucking 6 o'clock this morning. Dude, you're telling me I'm drunk and I'm fucking... You're out of your mind.
More cops.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
No reason.
You guys...
had the complaint?
Yeah, my shoulder, man. I've got a rotator cuff problem, and as soon as they put me in cuffs, because my shoulder can't go behind my shoulder, behind my back, they've been trying to, it's been hurting.
Okay, so what, you're saying that if you don't have the cuffs on, your shoulder's fine?
No, I'm saying when my shoulder can have a little bit more leniency to the front, it's not so bad. But while it's dragged behind me, I can't do anything.
All they got to do is
That's the pain.
So
It's
it's
behind.
not injured, it's just your...
It's injured. It's still injured. I'm just saying I've tried to ask for relief and they don't want to hear me.
What was the rotator cuff injury?
From back in like when I was 25.
Torn, dislocated.
Torn.
I mean, we're, we can't, if for their safety, we can't tell them to take their cuffs off.
I'm not saying I've been asking just for relief so I can bring it to the front. You're telling me you can't. I'm just saying that's what I've been asking for is just a little relief.
I'm just gonna palpate it real quick to see if I feel any dislocation or anything. I'm gonna feel both of them. Go ahead and relax.
Put this ice back under there, okay?
I mean, everything feels intact. I don't feel any crepitus or anything.
It's not torn.
And the good thing is when I'm pressing it, you're not really complaining of pain.
It's just that you're...
There you go. Put them in the jail. No reason.
Your hand? Are you moving around so much?
Dude, my shoulder. Like I said, man, I'm not. You can check me, man. Fucking.
All right, stay on there.
Yeah, I got nothing to hide. I'm just. My shoulder is really fucked.
Moving around too much. You need to
I understand. There might be a magazine in my back left pocket.
Luke here with the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel. 2 years ago, I bought an abandoned off-grid
1:57 p.m. Would counsel please state their appearances for the record?
Eric Friday on behalf of plaintiffs.
Bob Swickus on behalf of the officers.
And Robert Rosenwald on the city of Miami Beach.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Officer Baldock, you're employed by the city of Miami Beach.
Correct.
Sergeant Baldock, excuse me. How long have you been employed by the city of Miami Beach Police Department?
11 years this coming February.
You worked any as a police officer any other area or jurisdiction?
No.
Where did you go to the police academy?
Miami-Dade Police Academy, North Campus.
And were you hired by Miami Beach Police Department right out of the academy?
No.
How long did it take from your graduation to being hired here?
From graduation to hire, it took about a year and a half. October 2008 to February 2010 it took.
And do you know why it took that gap between?
There was a hiring freeze during that time, I guess because of the economy. So that took a little bit.
Have you ever been disciplined in your role as a employee of the Miami Beach Police Department?
Yes.
What was that for?
I received a letter of reprimand. I believe it was my second year. Failure to follow orders correctly.
And what, do you remember the circumstances of that failure to follow orders correctly?
Basically, I was ordered to keep a prisoner I had in my custody at the county jail where I was processing prisoners. She claimed she was raped, and the correctional supervisor there advised that she had to be taken to the rape treatment center. So I ordered another officer, a junior officer, to me to take her there before detectives could respond and, I guess, take over.
Any other discipline?
Maybe, I want to say maybe 3 minor written reprimand, not a written reprimand, I'm sorry. Verbal warnings, reference off duty, just working too many hours, but nothing else.
Is that generally because they wanted to make sure you were fresh and rested and everything?
You're only allowed to work 32 hours of off duty a week. So I may have worked more hours than that.
And also, Sergeant Baldock, what is your badge number?
991.
If I refer to the day of the incident or the day we're here about, you understand that those are the events of June 24th, 2018 at the South Point Pier involving individuals who were openly carrying while fishing, right?
Yes.
Okay. You were wearing a body cam that day.
Correct.
Do you know what your body cam number was that day?
My number, I mean, it has my ID number, 991 on it. So
okay.
It's got a serial number, but I don't know it off memory.
Well, they are not, the videos are not produced to us in Discovery with anything that indicates 991 or your name on it.
Correct.
But I'm going to show you a screen capture.
Off the record, right?
Yes.
Going off at 2:01 p.m. We're back on the video record at 2:03 p.m.
Did you review the body cam footage from your body cam from that day prior to today's deposition?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize this screenshot as being from your body cam as opposed to some other officers?
Yes.
Okay. The best I've been able to come up with is this X number up here. That it appears that the last four of your body cam that day was 5094. Do you have any reason to question that?
Nope.
Okay. It indicates a time here of T14:07:15Z. This incident was not at 2:07 in the afternoon, was it?
No.
Okay. Do you know why that time is written that way as opposed to the time that y'all are actually doing this?
I could not answer that.
Okay. Are you familiar with the concept of Zulu time?
I believe it's the world time or something like that.
Greenwich Mean Time?
I mean, I'm not familiar with it, no.
Okay. So you don't know if that's how your body cams work?
No.
Okay. You don't know, for example, that your body cams are, you don't know whether or not your body cams are running a time based on Zulu time as opposed to local time?
No, I'm not aware of those specifics.
Okay. Who would know that information?
That would be Sergeant Bello at the police department, who runs the BWC, the body worn camera program.
Is that spelled Bellow?
Bello, Bello. So he could answer those questions.
Bob, that is a deposition I'd be happy to do quickly by Zoom.
God bless.
Okay. Sergeant Baldock, you were one of the, what I'm describing as the 4 initial responding officers, correct?
Correct.
It was you, Officer Villamil, Officer Rivera, and Officer Garcia, right?
Correct.
And of those 4 officers that were the initial responding officers, you were the senior officer in charge at that time?
The supervisor of those officers, yes.
Are they normally your subordinates?
During that period in time, so we do bids? Yes.
Okay. You bids to be what shift you want to be on?
Correct. Day shift, afternoon, things like that.
And other than being a sergeant, do you have, at that time, did you have an official position such as a day shift sergeant or day shift commander or anything like that?
So my position during that bid and that day, I was the day shift patrol sergeant of Area 1, which is basically everything in this general area, with the exception of the entertainment district, Washington, Collins, and Ocean Drive.
So the south end of the island with the exception of the entertainment district.
Correct.
Now, I'm assuming you were not working 7 days a week as a Miami Beach police officer, right?
Some weeks.
Some weeks. All right. When you were not on duty, was there somebody else who was a day shift sergeant? Or
yes.
Okay.
Just so the court reporter can take you both down and let him get it out as simple as they are. Just hesitate a second.
Understood.
So how many day shift patrol sergeants are there for Area 1?
2.
Who's the other one?
The other one,
at that time, sorry.
Trying to think. I can tell you they weren't working that day. I can't remember off memory.
Sure. Later that day, Lieutenant Garcia showed up, right?
Yes.
All right. And he is your superior.
Yes.
And so was he in charge of the scene once he showed up?
Once I requested him and he showed up, basically he took command of the scene.
All right. When I received the discovery, I received 17 different video files with the last 4 digits of 5094 as that identifier. And it appears that's where you kept turning your camera on and off during the course of the events. Do you remember turning your camera on and off?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes I would get video but no audio. Do you have the ability to turn your audio off while leaving your video running?
So the reason you don't get audio, and most likely it's at the beginning of the video, is while the camera's buffering, it's constantly recording. So when it's constantly recording and I activate it, it records 30 seconds prior to the activation with no sound.
Okay.
So that's why you see a video with no sound for the first 30 seconds.
So when you turned off, but when you would turn it off to talk to another officer or to talk to Lieutenant Garcia, was it recording but just not capturing, or how does that work? Do you know?
So when I stepped away to talk about the investigation with the lieutenant or other officers, I would turn it off.
So what are y'all thoughts on this officer right now in the deposition, this sergeant? What are y'all thoughts on him and basically his responses to these questions right now? Just look at his face right now. Look at him. Look at those eyes and tell me. Those eyes tell me all I need to know. Like, come on, look at him. He is a psychopath. And he has a gun and pretty much a license to kill by having that badge. This sicko, man.
Off. And at that point, it's buffering.
Okay. To your knowledge, is there any way to retrieve that video or that audio from when you turned it off?
To my knowledge, no.
And I've been led to understand that it is Miami Beach Police Department policy that you're allowed to turn it off at certain times to have conversations with other officers.
Correct.
Okay. Does it appear from your review of your video yesterday that each of the times where it was turned off and then back on was because you were engaging with another officer to discuss the investigation?
Correct.
Yes, it was?
Yes.
Exactly. All it is.
Do you remember how you initially learned that you needed to come to the South Point Park or South Point Pier?
And it's crazy. All it is ego. He had the statute printed out. It was printed out. They could have looked at it at any time. At any time, they could have just read the statute. And they ended up still taking him to jail. Even though he had the statute printed out. Any one of them could have looked at it. It was over like 20 officers there, and none of them took the time out to just look at the statute. They didn't even look at it. Like, I'm not even saying going over it, like and reading over it. None of them would even look at the statute, which is insane, especially for a situation like that. So the Armed Fisherman took the time out to have it printed out, and I think it was laminated. And you can have it printed out, you can have it laminated, and they still won't read it. They won't read it, and that's insane.
Yeah, so we got a call through dispatch from the park ranger advising that we had multiple people there on the pier with firearms. The park ranger, I guess, approached them. He advised dispatch of what he had, basically saying, I got some guys here with guns. And we decided to respond thinking, what is this? This isn't a normal call we usually get.
So did you actually speak to the park ranger before you got to the park and him physically?
So on the BWC, it does show me, it shows us talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
It is those 30 seconds prior, so there's no audio. So I can only speculate what he's saying, and basically saying, I got guys here with guns. I told them they had to leave. They wouldn't leave. So we're thinking, okay, why are these guys here? Do we have an active shooter situation here? I don't know what I got. So we have to treat it as a possible threat at the moment.
Madam Court Reporter, can you read back my last question, please?
Sure. A question, did you actually speak to the park ranger before you got to the park and saw him physically?
Yes.
You talked to him by phone?
I believe he was there on scene.
Right. The question was, did you speak with the park ranger before you arrived at the park and were physically present with him?
No.
Okay. So when he called dispatch, dispatch notified you, but they didn't patch his phone call through to you or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So
we just, you have to kind of let people know about, whether it's
in the case file of Florida Carry Incorporated versus the City of Miami Beach.
A question, did you actually speak to the park ranger before you got to the park and saw him physically?
Yes.
You talked to him by phone?
I believe he was there on scene.
Right. The question was, did you speak with the park ranger before you arrived at the park and were physically present with him?
No.
Okay. So when he called dispatch, dispatch notified you, but they didn't patch his phone call through to you or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So when you're driving to the scene and before you actually get there and meet up with the park ranger, you knew what dispatch was telling you the park ranger said, not necessarily what the park ranger actually said, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, once you got to the park, do you know who got to the park ranger first, whether it was you, Rivera, Villamil, or Garcia?
We all together. We were all together, so we all got there at the same time.
Okay. And y'all had a short conversation with the park ranger?
Correct.
And he told you there were people on the pier with guns, right?
Yes.
Did he tell you anything else other than there are men on the pier and they have guns?
It may have been brought up that these are possible sovereign citizens in that conversation.
What does that have to do with anything? You see,
Right. Is that something the park ranger said?
I don't remember
that these people are possible sovereign citizens, even though cops are the only sovereign citizens. They mean we have citizens who know their rights and who are exercising their rights and know about their rights. That's what they're really saying. Cops are the only sovereign citizens.
the exact conversation. So, but I remember sovereign citizens being mentioned, which is why my alert level went up.
Okay. Because sovereign citizens.
Why?
Citizens have a higher danger level in terms of officer interaction, right?
Correct.
You've had training on sovereign citizens.
Yes.
And that's your training is once you're dealing with those people, you got a whole other level of concern that you need to have about your interaction.
Correct.
Okay. But you don't remember whether it was the park ranger or one of your fellow officers that brought up these might be sovereign citizens.
I do not remember.
As you sit here today, do you have any reason to believe that they were sovereign citizens in any way?
Today's date?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay. Once you concluded your investigation that day, did you have any reason to still believe they were sovereign citizens?
My suspicion was lowered, but I still don't know to this day if they truly are or not. I mean, I don't believe they are, but at that moment going into the pier,
I wish the lawyer would ask them, what is your definition of a sovereign citizen? What do you consider a sovereign citizen? I need to know what is his thought process when he's dealing with a sovereign citizen. Like, what do they think that is, or what do they think it means to be a sovereign citizen? I need to know, because, in my opinion, the only people who are sovereign citizens, like really, are cops.
here, that was my suspicion that these guys were sovereign citizens.
What
you have certain citizens that maybe attempt it and try to do it, but the only ones who actually are and get away with it are cops.
Information did you have before you walked onto that pier? What information did you have that led you to believe they were sovereign citizens?
There was mention that there were possible sovereign citizens, that I had multiple armed men.
And y'all drop in the comments or the chat. What are y'all beliefs of a sovereign citizen? What do y'all think a sovereign citizen is?
On the pier. And at that point, it's a Sunday morning. I have multiple people on the pier, people on the beach. I have cruise ships going by. I have the Coast Guard, multiple private vessels, jet skis. So at that moment, I'm treating this as a possible threat.
Okay. Does something about having multiple private vessels link to the idea of sovereign citizens?
Objection to form. Could you read that question back again?
Question, does something about having multiple vessels link to the idea of sovereign citizens?
I guess no.
Okay. Well, I asked you what information you had that led you to believe they were sovereign citizens. First thing you said is it was mentioned that they might be sovereign citizens.
Yes,
right?
correct.
But you don't remember who mentioned it.
Correct.
Okay. The next thing you said was they were multiple armed men.
Correct.
Does the fact that there are multiple armed men together, is that an indicator of sovereign citizen behavior to you?
It's possible.
No, it's possible.
Have you had training that indicates that is a defining or identifying characteristic of sovereign citizens?
Exactly. And that's what
my training teaches me that sovereign citizens are usually armed.
Okay. The fact that it's a Sunday morning, does that in some way indicate to you that the people there are sovereign citizens?
The day of the week is irrelevant.
Okay. Well, you listed it. That's why I'm asking.
Correct.
Does the fact that cruise ships are nearby somehow indicate to you that a armed person is probably a sovereign citizen?
No.
Okay. Do you know if there were any cruise ships scheduled to come in or out that day during that time period?
Usually Sundays is the days most of the ships depart. However, since there's so many cruise ships, sometimes it's normal for every day of the week. Okay. But Sunday is usually the bulk day.
You believe that Sunday is usually the bulk day that most cruise ships come in or out of Miami Beach?
Usually come out.
Usually come out, okay. And you are stating that as based on what was going on in 2018, in June
based on my observation of working the area.
In June of 2018?
Correct.
If I've told you I did a check and that there was not a single cruise scheduled to come in or leave Miami Beach that day, would that make you rethink that testimony?
Objection to form.
You can answer the question.
I can answer it? No, it doesn't change my mind.
Okay. Did you actually see any cruise ships physically present at the pier that particular day, to your recollection?
I don't recall.
What time do cruise ships usually leave when they leave?
All throughout the day. I don't have specific times.
When do they usually return, to your knowledge?
Same thing.
All throughout the day?
Yes.
You ever taken a cruise, sir?
Yes, I have.
You remember what time your cruise left?
Multiple cruises, multiple different times.
You're telling me you've been on a cruise that left in the morning?
I don't recall.
Do you recall ever specifically going on a cruise that left the port before noon?
Not to the best of my memory.
Do you ever remember going on a cruise that the ship came back after noon?
Not to the best of my memory.
Okay. How many cruises do you think you've been on, officer or sergeant?
6 maybe.
Of those 6 cruises, didn't most of them come in like possibly even before daybreak when they were returning?
Yeah.
Did I answer?
And didn't most of them depart later in the afternoon?
Yes.
Do you remember any specific cruise that didn't depart in late afternoon or come back in early morning?
Not in my experience.
Okay. So let me ask you again, other than the things you've already listed, was there any other information you had been given either by dispatch or by the ranger that led you to believe that these men were possibly sovereign citizens?
No.
Do you remember if you wrote anything in your report at the conclusion that stated you believed they were sovereign citizens?
It was written on the special incident, which when I briefed Lieutenant Garcia, I believe, who wrote it.
A special incident written by Lieutenant Garcia?
Yes.
Okay. Was that document prepared the same day as the incident?
It should have been.
Okay. Did you review any records for today?
Reviewed it yesterday, and I saw it there.
You saw a special incident yesterday?
And when I reviewed the reports yesterday, I saw it there, yes.
Okay. Did you review something that looked like this? Case detail report?
Yes.
Case report detail, excuse me.
Yes, I did.
Okay. This was produced in discovery. It is numbered pages 1 of 72, and there are 72 pages here.
Okay.
Did you review this particular document in terms of pages 1 through 72?
I reviewed the documents, so most likely, yes, related to this incident.
Okay. Do you know if the special incident report was in this document or something separate?
The case report is a report that the officers complete,
and
the special incident is a document that the lieutenant completes, basically to advise the higher ups, the captains, the majors, and the chiefs.
Okay. Do you know where that special incident report was routed to after it was written?
Where it was routed to? No.
Like who got
Records
copies of it?
department, I'm going to guess.
And you said Lieutenant Garcia wrote it. Do you remember a date on it?
I don't remember the exact, but it should be the same day.
Okay. Who provided that document to you yesterday to review with the special incident report in it?
Sawickas.
Okay. It's obvious that it's just not a good person. This is not a good man. Like, just nothing about him says honesty, integrity, nothing. It's just ego and pride.
Do you know if it referenced that it was submitted to the Florida Fusion Center?
I'm not aware of that.
But you do recall that it referenced that these individuals were suspected to be sovereign citizens.
At that moment in time, that was my suspicion.
And you said at that moment in time, are we talking about when you went out on the pier or at that moment in time when you were...
Before we went on the pier.
Okay. At the time that this special incident report was written, though, was it still your opinion, and you reviewed it with Lieutenant Garcia, was it still your opinion that these were sovereign citizens? Sure. At the time you first reviewed the special incident report with Lieutenant Garcia, you said about the same time or maybe within a day or two of the incident, did you still believe they were sovereign citizens?
My suspicions were not as high, being that they advised they're part of the Florida Carry Group and their main reason for being there was for the open carry with the fishing ordinance or statute. I'm sorry.
So they advised you that their main reason for being there was so that they could open carry while fishing.
That was what one of the individuals kept repeating.
Okay. When you got on the pier, did it appear they were in fact fishing?
When we approached them, most of them, to the best of my recollection, were standing next to their fishing poles.
I mean,
it was
yeah,
very clear that they had weapons. They had sidearms. So at that moment, my main concern was securing the scene as safely as possible.
So the answer to the question is yes, they looked like they were fishing. But you see how he dancing around that whole entire situation and trying to act like and trying to do everything but just answer the question. Yes, they looked like they were fishing. That's all. Because that's what it looked like they were doing.
So we can safely conduct our investigation.
Okay. You didn't see them casting a line out on your face. Nobody cast a line out while they were in handcuffs, right?
No.
But lines were in the water while they were in handcuffs, weren't they?
I believe so, yes.
In fact, one of your officers, or maybe it was you, even helped reel in one of the lines, didn't they?
After reviewing my body-worn camera, I did reel in one of the rods and cleaned it up with the seaweed.
Okay. So when you got on that pier, those lines were in the water from those fishing rods?
Yes, but that wasn't focused on any fishing lines at that moment.
I understand, and that's okay. Did you see fishing tackle in any of the bags that they had there?
Once the scene was secured, I started noticing the fishing pole. All he had to do was say yes. You see this scratch right here? He knows that his answer is yes. They did have fishing tackle, but he doesn't want to answer that directly because he want to make it seem like, oh, because they had the guns or whatever. I'm gonna act like I didn't fully understand the question that you just asked, so I'm gonna dance around it instead of just answering the question. Insane, y'all. It's insane.
Poles. I started noticing the fishing equipment. Yes.
Okay.
Why not just say yes?
So I'm gonna back to when you first got there. Now. Got a little ahead of myself. Did the park ranger tell you that there was a sign that said no carry of firearms on the pier?
I don't remember if he did,
except but
I can assume he did.
Did he tell you that they were refusing to, that the fishermen were refusing to leave or refusing to comply? Do you remember what the ranger told you?
I remember something to that effect. Exact verbiage, no.
Okay. Did he tell you they had offered to provide him with a copy of a Florida statute regarding their right to be there?
I don't remember. He may have mentioned it, but I don't remember.
Did he give you any information other than, this is when we're talking about the park ranger, did the park ranger give you any information other than these men are armed and they are fishing?
The best of my recollection, I was advised that I have armed men on the pier. They may be possible sovereign citizens, and that's pretty much the information I got at that moment.
But I'm asking about a specific person, not what some general other person might have said. I'm asking about the park ranger only. And you said you don't remember. You've already told me you don't remember who said something about sovereign citizen first.
Correct.
So did the park ranger give you any information other than armed people on the pier who are fishing?
That's pretty much the gist of what he told us.
Okay. That's the only things you remember him specifically telling you.
I remember that because to me, that's the top priority at that moment. So
what's the top priority?
And possible situation here with our men, with public and officers involved. So that was my main concern: is what do I got here, and how do I safely take control of it?
Well, when you're standing with these other three officers back talking to the ranger, there aren't any officers involved in this yet, are there?
No.
Those men are out on the pier by themselves or with other members of the public.
Correct.
Did the park ranger tell you that they had threatened anybody?
No.
Did the park ranger tell you that they were rude to him?
I don't believe so.
Did the park ranger tell you that they were waving guns around out of their holsters?
No.
Did the park ranger tell you the guns were pistols in holsters?
I believe he may have mentioned they were handguns.
Okay.
I don't remember anything about rifles being mentioned.
Well, you were carrying a holstered pistol, weren't you?
Yes.
Do you have some special right to carry a holstered pistol separate and differently from those individuals who were carrying holstered pistols on the pier?
Objection to form and argumentative. You can answer.
I can answer?
Yes, sir.
You mean like on off duty or?
Well, you are familiar that we have laws in Florida regarding firearms, right?
Correct.
And do you know what law gives you the right as a police officer to openly carry while you're on duty?
Openly carry while on duty?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of my job. I'm allowed to.
But what law allows you to do so?
The specific law?
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't know the specific statute.
How you don't know the specific law?
So you believe merely by having a police badge, that is the authority, and you don't need any special statutory
That's what they go by, just by being police.
authority to be able to openly carry while you're on duty.
I'm sure you do need a statute stating that.
Okay. What if I told you that the statute that allows you to open carry on duty is 790.25?
Okay.
You ever heard of that statute before?
I'm sure I've reviewed it once.
I mean, no, he don't know what that is. And the fact that you just brought it up to him is he's realizing like, oh, he should know that already. But the fact that he doesn't is crazy.
Or twice in my career.
Is that also the statute these gentlemen were quoting to you that day when you were disarming them?
I don't know. I don't know the statute verbatim.
Okay. Did you look at it that day?
I'm sure I eventually reviewed it.
Well, do you remember stating while wearing your body-worn camera that the fishing thing, that's going to be the loophole, or words to that effect?
Yes.
In the form of the question.
But yes, you do remember.
I remember when I reviewed my camera, I do remember saying that. Yes.
So the fishing thing, the law that allows them to open carry while fishing is just a loophole in the law.
Objection to the form of the question. You can answer.
I would say loophole probably wasn't the best word to use, but it was basically what allowed them to open carry was with the fishing poles.
Right. And so the statute that allows them to do that is 790.25 sub 3 sub H. Okay.
Okay.
Do you know what 790.25 sub 3 sub D says?
I'm going to assume something with hunting, or probably talking about law enforcement.
It discusses law enforcement being allowed to open carry, but you weren't familiar with that day.
That wasn't my concern at the moment.
Okay. Have you had any training on that statute since that day?
Reference open carry with fishing or with law enforcement?
Either.
Yes.
Which?
The fishing.
But not as to law enforcement, or that's what authorizes you to open carry.
It may have been mentioned, but I just focused on the fishing portion.
Okay. Now that you know that law exists, does that make you question how you handle the situation that day?
Now that I'm fully aware, and if the call didn't go out with possible sovereign citizens, it's quite possible the situation would have been dealt with very differently.
Liar.
But you now understand that a person who is openly carrying while fishing is not breaking any law.
Correct.
Did you find any violation of law being committed that day by any of the 6 individual plaintiffs in this case?
No.
Because if you'd...
So that's the case right there. So no law was being broken, but you still ended up putting them in handcuffs and taking one of them to jail. So obviously you shouldn't did that. So that's the lawsuit right there. You won the lawsuit.
Found such a violation, you would have either issued a citation or arrested them, right?
Correct.
At some point,
Check the last 3 questions to the form of the question. Thank you.
at some point that day, did you ask another officer to take pictures of everybody's guns?
I don't believe I gave that order.
Do you know for a fact Do you know whether some other officer did, in fact, take pictures of everybody's guns?
I am unaware if someone took pictures. I never gave an order, and I don't remember seeing someone taking pictures of guns.
Do you remember asking another officer if they had taken pictures of the guns that day?
No, I don't remember.
You didn't see anything on your video about asking whether it was you or some otherbody else's voice on your camera. You don't remember anything on your camera that you reviewed of one of the other officers being asked if they had taken pictures of all the guns?
I don't remember that.
Okay. What about taking pictures of all of the concealed carry licenses?
I don't remember telling anybody to take pictures of anything.
Do you remember hearing anything like that on the body cam footage you reviewed?
On my video, no.
Yes, on your video. And I don't care whether you said it or somebody else, but anything.
See, you can tell like he just ducking and dodging the question. Just answer the question, man. That's all you gotta do is just answer the question. But that's how you know that he's up to no good, that he's a dirtbag, because he keep trying to avoid the questions.
Thing you overheard while watching your video?
After watching the videos, I don't remember any mention of that.
Any mention of taking pictures of the concealed carry license?
Correct.
Any picture, you don't recall anything about taking pictures of the serial numbers on the guns?
Correct.
But you do know that the guns and the backgrounds of the individuals were run, right?
Yes. Yeah, I ordered that.
You did order that?
Yeah.
What officer do you need in order to detain somebody? Can you tell me the specific legal term that you need in order to conduct a detention of a citizen?
At that point, we were conducting an investigation, so I'm not assuming, I have to make sure a crime has not been committed.
Okay.
So at this point, as I'm approaching the pier, I'm thinking I may have a possible threat. I may have a possible terrorist threat, active shooter. I don't know what I got. So I got to detain, secure, and investigate.
I'm asking you again, what is the legal standard for you to detain a citizen in general? Not just that day, but what do you need in order to detain a citizen?
Basically, if a suspicion of committing a crime, and they'd have to dispel my alarm before I can basically let them go.
Is the proper term a reasonable, articulable suspicion that crime is or is about to be afoot?
Yes.
Is that a phrase you've heard before?
Yes.
So on that day, when you went out on that pier, as you were approaching those men, can you identify for me all crimes that you either believed were being committed or might be about to be committed?
I believed a possible active shooter situation could have possibly occurred.
Anything else?
Before my investigation. That was basically my only concern.
Okay. So you were not concerned about the fact that they were openly carrying firearms?
No.
You did not walk on the pier believing that you did not detain them in the belief that the open carry of the firearms by those individuals was illegal?
Repeat the question.
When you detained them, did you believe that their act of openly carrying firearms was a crime?
They were openly carrying in the state of Florida, which is not allowed. And my main concern at that moment was obviously the possible threat, securing and investigating. Like I said, when we walked up, they were standing next to the fishing poles. My main concern was just securing the scene and finding out what I have.
So one of the crimes you suspected when you walked up was that they were openly carrying a firearm?
Yes.
Okay. And you've now learned that that was not a crime?
Correct.
Checked in the form of the question.
Approximately how many minutes into the situation would you say passed from the time you drew your firearm until you realized that these were not people there to commit an act of shooting?
Objection, the form.
You can answer the question.
I can answer. Once they were secured, and now it didn't even go down because there was more people coming. But once those initial gentlemen were secured, and I heard them talking about the laws reference open carry and fishing, I started realizing, okay, maybe this isn't sovereign citizens, maybe this is something else I'm dealing with here. But I still wasn't sure.
But you had all their guns taken away.
Correct.
You had checked them for knives.
We searched them.
At that point, why leave them in handcuffs?
At that point, we were getting word that more individuals with guns were walking towards the pier. So as I'm dealing with the men on the pier, me and my officers, I'm advising dispatch, I still at this point don't know what I have. And now I'm being told that there's more people with guns walking around this park and beach area.
Who told you that?
That came through dispatch.
Do you know who called into dispatch with that information?
I don't know who exactly now.
Okay. How many other individuals eventually showed up to your knowledge?
I believe 2 more, but at that moment I'm thinking, how many people am I dealing with? I don't know.
You say 2 more. One of those actually ended up being a reporter, didn't it?
I believe.
Objection, the form of the question.
Okay. You say you believe 2 more people showed up while you were dealing with the first 5 individuals, right?
Yes.
One of those individuals that showed up was Jonah Weiss.
Right.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay. Did one of those individuals that showed up after you were already on the pier was armed and was brought out on the pier, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I'm going to tell you that individual's name was Jonah Weiss.
Okay.
There was a second individual brought out with him also, though, right?
Okay, yes.
Do you know what that second individual's profession was?
No.
Did you never identify it that day as to what that second individual was?
I didn't ask her, no.
Okay. Did you find out that second individual was not with the group but was a reporter?
Objection, the form of the question. You can answer.
No, I wasn't aware he was a reporter.
Okay. Do you know that today?
I know that right now.
Okay. You didn't know it from watching your body cam?
I remember reviewing the cameras. There were some people, there was media there, I remember seeing, and then there was also other people with cameras there filming the scene. And then once the scene was done, asking questions of passerbys, are they aware of the open carry with the fishing, and basically educating the public.
Are you aware in the state of Florida it is a crime to interfere with lawful taking of game or fish?
Excuse me, will you read that question back to me?
Yeah, if you could repeat it.
Are you aware that in the state of Florida it is unlawful to interfere with the lawful taking of game or fish?
Objection, the form of the question.
I'm not too familiar with those laws.
So you don't know, for example, if it's a crime to harass a fisherman?
Objection, the form of the question.
Yes.
Like as law enforcement or
just as a general proposition that it's a crime to harass or interfere with a person's fishing?
I'm not aware of
the form of the question.
I'm not aware of the specifics. What the statute basically states. I'm not,
okay.
Not familiar with those statutes.
Insane. And he took an oath.
All right. So after you and the other 3 officers meet with the park ranger, somebody makes the decision that y'all are going to make an approach to the people on the pier, right?
Correct.
And what would you describe? Is there a term you would use to describe the type of approach y'all did?
As tactical as possible. Basically making sure, we approach.
Tactical. He didn't say nothing about lawful.
I guess side by side, so we're a bigger target, not a bigger target, but more spread out in the event of someone does start shooting. Our main goal was just to take one person into custody at a time. I can tell you, as I started getting closer I started realizing there was more people there fishing with sidearms than I realized. At first, I believe we thought there was 3, and it ended up being 5. So right there, I was caught a little off guard, but we slowly took them, secured them, and then began our investigation.
Okay. Out of that initial 5, only 4 of them were armed, correct?
I don't remember if all of them or 4 of them.
Okay.
I don't remember.
You don't recall, for example, that Mr. Devine, Sean Devine, did not have a firearm on him?
I don't remember.
Okay. What, you don't remember one way or the other?
You idiot.
I can't remember who had guns and who didn't. Unless, obviously, what's on the video. I mean, I don't know people's names.
Did you actually physically handcuff anybody?
Reviewing my BWC, I assisted, I believe, with pill pot. I believe it was. I assisted with giving one of my handcuffs so he could have 2 handcuffs. So it could be easier, I guess, to secure him.
He's a big boy.
Yes.
You didn't put handcuffs on anybody yourself, though.
If I remember correctly, I just assisted with him. I don't remember if I did assist or handcuff someone else. I don't believe I did.
Do you know if you pointed your handgun at any of the individuals?
I had my gun at the low ready. All the gentlemen on the pier complied with the orders and basically had their hands up. So at that immediate moment, I didn't feel the need to go ahead and aim it directly at them.
Okay. But the other 3 officers did all point their firearms directly at the individuals, didn't they?
After reviewing the cameras, yeah. Yes.
So you were the only officer of the initial 4 responding who kept your gun at low ready.
Correct.
And part of that was because the other 3 officers were somewhat in your line of fire to the citizens, right?
They were more of going to be the engaging. So realistically, if something was going to happen, I would have been the cover person. I would have been able to react best to, worst case scenario.
Right. So you were providing essentially cover for the other 3 officers.
Correct.
That was your role at that point.
At that point, which was moving very quickly. Once I realized I had more subjects than I thought.
Were you wearing body armor that day of any type?
No.
Did you have any in your vehicle?
No.
And
hold on, y'all. Let me address the chat real quick. Joe, are you saying you sent me the video? I'm not really sure what you're saying right there. I just been watching what's going on in the video. I'm catching the chat, but I'm not always looking at everything going on in the chat, because this is my first time seeing this deposition too. So I'm trying to see what's going on here. But this officer is insane. I don't know how he got to this point to be sergeant, but it makes a lot of sense, knowing that's how they operate. But let me see. Yeah, keep looking over there to defense so he can make an objection, and you can see even when he goes to answer, he doesn't really answer honestly and just thoroughly. He starts to say anything. Yeah, man, this is crazy.
it's my understanding the Miami Beach Police Department that to the officer's discretion.
Yes, they do.
All right. Did you know if you had a patrol rifle in your vehicle that day?
I don't carry one in my vehicle.
You just generally do not keep a patrol rifle in your vehicle.
Correct.
That was your practice at that time in 2018, right?
For me personally.
That was your policy in 2018 for you personally.
Me personally, I did not have a rifle. Other officers may or may not have.
Do you keep one in your car today?
No.
I think Rob just dropped.
Off the record?
Yeah.
Off the record at 2:44 p.m. We're back on the video record at 2:45 p.m.
Sergeant Baldock, whose decision was it to approach these individuals in this tactical formation?
Before, to the best of my recollection, we talked about how we're going to approach these gentlemen before we got on the pier, and we all came to the agreement. We're going to approach tactically with our weapons drawn, safely securing each one, and then once they're secure, started the investigation, figuring out what's going on, why are these guys here, see if everything checks out.
At the time you walked onto that pier, had you been given any information by any person that these individuals had made an aggressive move towards anybody?
No.
At the time you walked onto that pier, had you been given any information by any person that these people were in the act of committing a criminal offense?
No. Other than open carry.
Okay. Which you now know wasn't even a crime.
Correct.
Objection in the form of the question.
With the exception.
Take a breath in between, so let's object.
With the exception of the fishing or hunting.
So it's your understanding that open carry is a crime unless you are hunting, fishing, or camping?
Correct.
So open carry is also a crime unless you are a law enforcement officer?
Correct.
Okay. So equal weight right there in the same statute, right?
Correct.
So it's not really an exception as much as it is the law of the state of Florida, right?
Correct. The form of the question.
So the fact that you believe they were committing the crime of open carry when you walked out there was more about your lack of legal knowledge and lack of your knowledge of Florida law, and not the fact that they were committing a crime, right?
Objection in the form of the question, argumentative.
He wasn't wrong. He was right about the law.
Oh, he wasn't.
You can answer.
Okay, repeat the question.
You did not have knowledge that fishing allowed them to openly carry at that time, correct?
He was obviously wrong. And the fact that his lawyer tried to go around that and say he wasn't, it's insane what's going on right now. I can't believe that. He know that this cop is in trouble and he's trying to save him right now. And it's absolutely ridiculous. He was in fact wrong, and he know he was wrong. He already said it.
Objection in the form of the question.
At that time, my top priority was officer safety and safety of the public.
Not the question I asked, sir. Madam Court Reporter, can you read the question back?
Yes, sir.
Question: You did not have knowledge that fishing allowed them to openly carry at that time.
I'm going to object to this entire series of questions.
So he's going to object the questions. And all he asking him is, was he wrong about it? Which, honestly, that's true. He was wrong, and he know he was wrong. He said he was wrong. And the thing is saying you made the arrest because you didn't know the law. Is that correct? Yes, pretty much. But he won't say yes, I made the arrest because I didn't know the law.
Simply fishing under the statute does not vitiate the crime of open carry. There are numerous other elements.
Mr. Rosenwald, that is number one, a speaking objection, which we know how Mr. Switkus feels about that. And number two, your legal opinion is not my concern right now about what the law does or doesn't say. I'm asking the officer a question.
Exactly. And that tell you right there. I'm glad this lawyer is finally standing up and saying something about that, because that's crazy. It's like his attorney is answering the question for him. which is insane in the deposition. In the deposition, the attorney shouldn't be saying anything. The only thing that he possibly can do is object to the question. He can't say his opinion or his thought process of what's going on or whether it's illegal or not. That's not for him to do. He is supposed to only object to the question. He's not supposed to answer the question for the cop. It's insane what's going on right here. Really, this is terrible, honestly. And it says a lot about the system. It says a lot about this cop. And it says a lot about the lawyer who is defending this cop.
What my concern is that you keep representing to him what a Florida statute says, and you're telling him something that's not true. So if you want to keep misquoting the law, you go ahead. But I'm going to make.
If he said if you're gonna keep misquoting the law, go ahead. Well, if he should have go ahead, he shouldn't have never started. He should have never started talking against it because he knows it's not right.
An objection to it.
Okay.
So, officer,
That's it.
You now understand that it is not a crime to have an open carried firearm while fishing, right?
Objection in the form of the question.
Wow.
I understand that, yes.
Okay. But that was not your understanding on the day of this incident, was it?
Join.
You can answer.
My understanding at that moment was that they were open carrying.
And that they were violating the law by doing so.
Correct.
Objection to form.
And the fact is, or back up. What is your understanding of Miami Beach Police Department's policy regarding when you should draw your weapon and point it at another human being?
When there's a threat level there.
Okay. And can you describe what that threat level looks like based on your understanding of the policy of the Miami Beach Police Department?
If there's a threat level where you're making an interaction with someone who's known or possibly carrying a weapon.
Okay.
A threat to the officer or the public.
Okay. Anything else?
If I feel either myself, my officers, or the public are in danger.
Do you need all three of those, or just one of them's good enough to draw and point your weapon at somebody?
I feel pretty comfortable with one of them.
Okay. So is it your understanding then the mere fact that somebody is known to be or is possibly carrying a weapon that authorizes you to draw and point your firearm at that person?
Objection in the form of the question.
That you can answer.
In my training experience, if I know there's a weapon in play in an investigation, I'm going to use everything to my tactical advantage to first secure that weapon before I continue my investigation.
So is it your understanding that policy and your training dictate that you disarm any person with a firearm who you encounter?
Objection in the form of the question.
If I'm conducting an investigation.
So if you see an individual who is carrying a firearm, is that enough for you to conduct an investigation right then?
Objection in the form of the question.
If I see an individual carrying a firearm, they're already violating the open carry.
Well, what if it's concealed and you see the bulge?
Objection in the form of the question.
If it's concealed, depending on the situation, we may approach. I'd have to see, there have to be a situation.
Okay.
Obviously, if it's concealed and it just pops out, that's different than someone who's openly carrying.
All right. So is it your understanding then that any person open carrying, you are then allowed to go up to them and detain them?
Objection to the form of the question. Counsel, you've kind of danced around this for the last half hour, but go ahead.
We will
answer
investigate it.
You will investigate any person who is openly carrying a firearm?
I would, yes.
Okay. And does investigate mean you will detain that person?
Yes, we may detain them.
And if you detain them, you are absolutely positively going to disarm them, aren't you?
Yes.
No exceptions.
No exceptions. For the time being.
Okay. Once you discover that they are not committing a crime and have that firearm where they are lawfully, does the Miami Beach Police Department have a policy on how you return that firearm to that person?
Objection in the form of the question.
Would either of you like to let me know what problem you have with the form of the question specifically?
Read the question back and I'll give you a lot of reasons.
Okay.
Question: once you discover that they are not committing a crime and have that firearm once you discover that they are not committing a crime and they have that firearm lawfully, does the Miami Beach Police Department have a policy on how you return that firearm to that person?
Okay, it is a compound question and it assumes scenarios that are too numerous to indicate, and it's based upon a reasonable investigation, and no officer can be definitively positive that a crime might be or might happen or will happen because it dispels his initial suspicion.
Okay.
That's the nature of my objection.
Mr. Rosenwald, you want to add anything?
I do. You keep making this false statement that once the officer has determined that no crime has been committed, and the duty of the officer is not to determine whether a crime has been committed, in that whether the fishing, hunting, and camping exception applies. There are also other elements to that, such as that they're not convicted of a crime, they're not a drunk, they're not other things that the statute lists, which the carrier of the gun has the duty to establish as an affirmative defense. Those things were never considered in this case, and the officers had no way of knowing whether those things were true. And so you keep saying once it was established that they weren't breaking any law, the officers did what they could, but it was the duty of the guys carrying the gun to establish whether they were breaking the law, and they never did it in this case. There's not a shred of evidence that they did so.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rosenwald. All right, Sergeant Balda.
Yes.
There came a point in your investigation on Sunday, June 24th, 2018, where you decided you had to release these men, right?
Correct.
At the point you released them, was it your opinion that no crime had been committed?
At that moment, under my investigation, I did not find a crime being committed.
Okay. Is this the first ever scenario in your employment that you have encountered where you took a firearm from somebody and had to return it to them when you released them?
No, this is not the first time.
Okay. To your knowledge, is there a standard operating procedure regarding how to return firearms in the Miami Beach Police Department's policies?
The specifics, no, not to the best of my knowledge at the moment. I'd have to review the policy.
Do you have a standard procedure in how you return firearms after you determine that the person should get it back?
Common practice with all Miami Beach police officers, once it's deemed that no crime has been committed and the person being investigated has done nothing wrong, usually we'll safely return the weapon in a safe manner, for example, the trunk of a vehicle or a glove compartment. And then we explain to them once we walk away, you're free to go ahead, put the weapon back together and holster it concealed or whatever it is, however you had it stored.
Okay. And so you stated, though, that this was the standard procedure of all officers in the Miami Beach Police Department.
Yes.
Where did that procedure come from? Did you create it?
I did not create it.
Okay. Is it written down in some manual somewhere?
I would have to review the manuals.
Okay. Have you reviewed the manuals before or after this incident to see if there's any standard procedure in there?
No.
Okay. Is that how you were trained to do it?
Yes.
Where did you receive the training to do it in that manner?
Field training officer when I was on FTO,
Okay.
being trained by a training officer.
Training officer of the Miami Beach Police Department.
Correct.
Approximately what year would that have been?
2010.
And you've never been told that that procedure is improper or shouldn't be used?
Objection in the form of the question. You can answer.
I've never.
I just asked if he's ever been told that it's improper or shouldn't be used. Not that it is. Have you ever been told that that is an improper procedure or that such a procedure should not be used?
No.
Objection in the form of the question.
No.
Okay. So it's your standard policy and procedure to leave that person unarmed and defenseless while you depart the scene.
Objection in the form of the question, argumentative.
I said, it is your policy or procedure of how you do it to leave people unable to utilize their firearm until you have left the scene.
They're unable to utilize their firearm until we leave, correct?
Okay.
For our safety.
Okay. For your safety?
Yes.
What about for their safety?
Once we leave, they can get their gun.
Well, what about their safety between you leaving and them getting it back loaded? Does that not matter?
Objection in the form of the question, argumentative. You can answer.
Yes, it does matter.
It does. Yeah, that's a yes, it does.
I would say yeah.
Okay.
Safety always matters.
Is your safety more important than a citizen's safety?
My safety? I view the public more important than me.
But so do you view a lawfully armed citizen as having an equal or greater safety right than yourself?
Objection in the form of the question.
A lawfully armed citizen, do you view them as having an equal or greater right to safety than yourself?
They have every
objection in form. Go ahead.
Every right as any other person in public.
And that includes the right to keep and bear arms, doesn't it?
Correct.
Includes the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, doesn't it?
Correct.
Okay. Once y'all had concluded that these individuals were not committing a crime by once the decision had been made by officers on the scene, whether yourself or Lieutenant Garcia, not to arrest these individuals for open carry, did they then search other items that the individuals had on the pier?
I don't remember searching. I mean, all they had was the coolers.
Okay. Do you remember yourself or other officers searching the coolers?
We may have opened them. I could assume that. I don't remember.
What grounds would you have had to open those coolers?
To verify if they had fishing equipment, I guess, fishing bait, things like that.
Do you remember any officer suggesting that the cooler should be searched for alcohol to see if they were violating the no alcohol on the pier rule?
I don't remember if that was mentioned, but it may have.
Okay. Did you have probable cause to believe that there was illegal alcohol on the pier?
Objection in the form of the question.
No, we didn't. Overall, I didn't have any suspicion of an alcohol issue.
At any point were you given any information that these men had taken any affirmative action or demonstrated any behavior indicating they were a threat other than the fact that they possessed firearms?
Objection in the form of the question.
Just the information of our men through dispatch on the pier and of the interactions with the park ranger and the possible fact that they may be sovereign citizens.
Would you agree that none of the two or three things you just described are acts or demonstrations or actions of the individuals, but rather information you were given?
Objection in the form of the question.
I'm going off based on information I was given.
Okay. Were you given any information that any of them had been aggressive to anybody?
I don't remember getting that information.
Were you given any information that any of them had pointed a gun at anybody?
No.
Were you given any information that any of them had threatened anybody?
No.
Did you get any information that any of them had displayed their firearms in a rude, careless, angry, or threatening manner?
No.
So at the time you approached them, you had no information of those types.
Of those
Objection in
things,
the
no.
form of the question.
And throughout your entire investigation, you never obtained any information intelligence or report that these men had engaged in any rude, threatening, or aggressive manner towards any person, did you?
At the conclusion of the investigation, no, we didn't find any of that.
He said at the conclusion, but it wasn't from the beginning. He never got that. So I don't know what he mean by at the end of the investigation, we didn't discover that. Nobody said that ever from the call in general.
Who made the decision to close the pier down at the end of the event? Who made the decision to close the pier down at the end of the incident?
Lieutenant Garcia did.
That's all.
And was that to make sure that those men had to leave?
Objection in the form of the question.
I can't answer for Lieutenant Garcia.
If the pier had remained open, if the pier had remained open that day, did you have any grounds to make the men leave once y'all's investigation was concluded?
No. And actually, we even advised them that if they wish to continue fishing on the rocks there, they were allowed to.
Okay, but you weren't going to let them continue fishing on the pier.
Lieutenant Garcia made that decision.
Do you know why?
I can assume because we would begin.
I don't want you to guess, but if you know, you can answer. But I don't want you guessing.
Okay, I'll let him answer that then.
So did Lieutenant Garcia ever advise you or tell you why he was closing the pier down?
I don't remember having that conversation, or I can't remember if we did the exacts on that conversation.
Is that possibly one of the conversations you had when you turned your body cam off to talk to him?
It's
Objection
possible.
in the form of the question.
It's possible.
Okay. Do you remember any specifics about any conversations you had that day with other officers when you were turning your body cam on and off?
To the best of my knowledge, we were just...
Okay, you can answer that question yes or no, but there's a specific provision of testifying about police tactics that we're not going to go into today.
Okay.
So if you remember a specific that is not divulging police tactics, you can answer the question. This answer can be yes or no.
Yes.
You do remember that you had those discussions?
I remember turning off the camera and having discussions about the investigation.
Okay. Were some of those discussions about tactics, police tactics?
No.
Okay, so none of the discussions you had when you turned off the cameras were about police tactics?
I believe not.
Okay. Do you remember what the conversations were about in any of the 17 different times you turned off the camera?
Most likely updating the lieutenant on the records checks of the individuals, just getting updated on what they came back. Most likely making sure when the records checks on the guns came back, they were clear, which I think they were. And then I remember him having on the phone with his higher ups on how to basically handle the situation.
Did he ever tell you who he was talking to on the phone in terms of higher ups?
I don't remember. That was...
You don't remember who he told you, or you don't remember if he told you?
I don't. I knew he was talking to higher ups. I don't remember who. So his job at that moment was talking to them, and my job at that moment was just, supervising the investigation.
Okay. Once you had determined that everybody had fishing licenses,
mm-hmm.
and that everybody was fishing,
mm-hmm.
and once you had back records checks on each individual,
mm-hmm.
Interrupt him. Let him ask the whole question, because I'm going to interpose an objection, and if you keep saying, "Oh, we don't know if it's to this question," or
I will start all over, Bob, just to make it easy for you.
God bless you.
I'm going to list a list of things that I saw performed on the video on the radio traffic. Okay.
Okay.
I saw you, or some officer. I saw some officer.
They should
check the backgrounds of each individual. Yes? Go ahead, Bob.
Yes.
I heard radio traffic where they checked out each gun.
Yes.
I saw y'all investigate whether they had fishing licenses.
Yes.
You had already observed that they were fishing, right?
Objection to form with a question.
I observed the fishing poles with the lines in the water. Yes.
Okay. Is there some other definition of fishing you know of?
Objection to form with a question. Argumentative.
No, that's not. He asked him, "Are you aware that they were fishing?" And he said they were standing next to the lines. And like, come on, what is fishing? Do you know a different way to fish?
I never witnessed anybody holding
a
rod when we approached.
Do you have to be holding a rod to be engaged in the act of fishing?
Objection to form with a question.
I would have to review the statute.
Okay. Do you fish, Officer Ball?
Get out of here, man. Can you believe this? He won't just answer the question. Come on. Do you know a different form of fishing? And that's why the lawyer is asking him, do you fish? Have you fished before? Have you seen somebody fishing? Do you hold a reel the whole time you fish? No, obviously not.
Hold up.
No.
You ever been fishing?
Yes.
Have you held your fishing rod the entire time you were out fishing?
No.
So can we agree that merely having that, can we agree that you do not have to hold a fishing rod the entire time in order to still be engaged in the act of fishing?
Objection to form with a question.
Yes.
Finally.
Are you aware of any specific Florida law that says you're only fishing if you're actually holding the pole?
I am unaware of no specific law.
Did you do any research that day to see if you had to be holding a fishing pole to actually be counted as engaged in the act of fishing?
Objection to form of the question.
Do y'all believe this?
I remember probably after the incident reviewing the statute.
Did you find any such requirement in the
Holding?
statute that you had to be holding the rod at all times in order to be fishing?
I don't recall that you had to be holding it the whole time.
It don't make sense.
You don't recall whether you found that information or you didn't find anything?
In the act of fishing and hunting or going to and from your vehicle.
Do you hold the fishing rod the entire time you fishing? That obviously, if somebody was upfront and honest about anything that they're talking about, you would know that you don't hold the fishing rod the entire time you fish. Duh.
I remember those verbiages.
Okay. So once we discussed checking the person, checking the gun, checking the fishing license.
Mm-hmm.
Once you had all three pieces of that information back, why did you still need to detain him at that point?
Objection to form of the question.
Checking the backgrounds check on the 6 men or 7, I don't remember the exact number, and the firearms.
So they're doing a background check of all these people for no crime. You gotta remember that no crime has been committed. So, and they're doing a background check for nothing. A violation of the 4th Amendment. And the fact that they don't know that is crazy. And this is why when they ask you for your name or anything like that, you don't have to reveal that information to them, because all they're gonna do is they're gonna run your name and do all this for no reason.
Took a little bit of time with the records channel.
Okay.
While that was going on, Lieutenant Garcia was talking with higher ups.
Yeah.
I can't say what they were talking about, but I also had to wait on his orders on what to do with these men. But once it was discovered that, if I remember correctly, once it was discovered that everything checked out, that's at that point, that's when we went ahead and started unhandcuffing the individuals.
So you're saying you believe that y'all started unhandcuffing them?
You gotta ask them, was it live bait on the line? If it's not live bait, you're not fishing. Hey, come on. Can you believe this guy? Like this is so upsetting, and it's always like this in the depositions. They always all over the place. It won't just answer the question. If you did the right thing, just answer the question. The only time that they don't answer all the questions is when they know they didn't do the right thing. If they did the right thing, you could just answer all the questions. Yes, no, real easy.
As soon as you knew that all the guns were clear and all the backgrounds were clear.
Once our alarm, that these guys aren't criminals, they don't have criminal backgrounds, that they're allowed to have these guns, they're not any alerts on any terrorist group or convicted felons or mental health personnel, that they're normal people. And the guns cleared, no stolen firearms. Our alarm was it's dispelled our alarm, so we went ahead and unhandcuffed them. Yes.
It wasn't the exact question I asked. The question I asked was, is it your contention that they were unhandcuffed as soon as all people and all guns had been cleared by the background checks?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. All right. And do you have any idea at what time point, how many minutes into the incident it was before each of the individuals' backgrounds had come back clear?
I'm gonna assume it was right before we unhandcuffed them, and then after reviewing the camera yesterday, between the time we approached them on the pier to the time we started unhandcuffing them was roughly about an hour and a half, I would say.
I said an hour and 18 minutes. I think that might even be closer for you.
What's that?
An hour and 18 minutes?
Possibly.
So we'll say an hour and 18 to an hour and a half.
We could say that.
So does it take an hour and a quarter to get background checks run on 6 people?
I'm not a records the dispatcher, so sometimes it's quicker, sometimes it's longer.
But are you saying that you think that morning it took all of that time just to get back hey, this person's not a felon, this person's not prohibited from owning firearms?
We would have
form of the question.
We would have to review the records channel transmissions, but to the best of my knowledge, that's how long it took.
Have you ever encountered an individual before with a concealed carry license issued by the state of Florida?
Yes.
Have you ever found a stolen firearm in the possession of a person with a concealed carry license? Have you ever found a person in possession of a stolen firearm who also had a Florida concealed carry license?
I don't believe I have, but I can't say for certain.
Okay. Did you also run all their concealed carry licenses for those that had them?
I believe we did.
Okay.
I would assume we did, so I'm pretty sure we did.
Officer, do you have a concealed carry license?
I do.
When did you get it?
Maybe 8 years ago, I'm guessing.
Before this incident?
Yes.
Okay. And if you've had it 8 years, you may have even had to renew it at least once, right?
I believe I just did last year or this year.
Do you remember when you got that license, filling out an application for that license with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services?
I remember filling out a form.
Okay. Do you remember having to sign that form?
I'm sure I did.
Okay. Do you remember that form stating that you were signing it under penalty of perjury? Or under oath or anything like that?
I'm sure I did.
Okay. Do you remember that form stating that by signing it, you were stating you had read and understood all the provisions of Florida Statute Chapter 790?
I don't remember that.
Okay. If I told you it's absolutely on that form, would you have any reason to dispute that?
Objection to form of the question.
No, I don't believe. I'm sure it's on there.
So did you actually read Chapter 790 before you filed that?
I probably didn't.
Oh, wow.
Was there any reason to close the pier that day, other than to make sure those people were not allowed to stay on that pier?
Objection, form of the question.
I didn't make that decision, so I can't.
Didn't ask whether you made the decision. I understand you didn't, Officer Sergeant Baldock.
Yep.
I'm asking, to your knowledge, was there any reason that pier needed to be closed other than to make sure those individuals did not stay on that pier with those firearms?
Objection, form of the question.
I could assume we closed it to avoid future calls of people calling.
But you don't know of any specific reason it needed to be closed other than to get those people. Let me rephrase. I'll rephrase it. Do you have no idea why the pier was closed other than the orders of Lieutenant Garcia?
I can speculate. Let's say.
I'm not going to ask you to speculate because Mr. Switkus would want to jump across the table at me.
No, I don't have the reasoning.
Okay. As you sit here today thinking back, was it necessary to close the pier at that point for public safety?
Objection, form of the question.
It wasn't my decision. I don't know if I would have made that same decision or not.
Well, tell me this. Looking back on it, do you think it was the right decision?
Objection, form of the question.
I don't know.
You don't have an opinion or anything regarding Lieutenant Garcia's decision to close the pier?
Lieutenant Garcia gave an order, and I follow it.
Is that? Do you believe you're under some obligation to follow every order you're given, sir?
No.
Okay. Just want to see if we're clear on that. Do you, based on your experience, knowledge, work as a law enforcement officer, can you identify for us today any reason the pier needed to be closed on June 24th, 2018?
To avoid future calls.
To avoid future calls for what?
Objection to form. Go ahead.
It's very likely, as the day progressed, since this was still early in the morning, people would have called saying, hey, there's people in the park with guns, which we, a lot of people in this city, when they see something suspicious, they call and we investigate.
All right. You investigate all calls?
All types of calls, yes.
You investigate any call that comes in?
If it's, for the most part, yes.
Okay. Is the fact that somebody might be uncomfortable or call you later about the same event a reason to close a public park?
If a call of a gun or a weapon comes through.
Not my question. My question was, is the mere fact that somebody might call because they dislike somebody's behavior a reason to close down a public park?
Objection in the form of the question.
I'm probably not.
So you think you might have had the decision been yours, close the park in order to prevent having to come back out on another call for these men with guns? Is that what you're telling me? I'm trying to understand.
That would probably be one of the factors.
Okay. Any other factors you'd think?
At the end of the day, we have people with guns. Anything can happen.
Okay. And you didn't think it's okay to, you didn't think it was a good idea for them to have guns out on that pier, did you?
Objection in the form of the question.
If they're law-abiding citizens doing nothing illegal, there's nothing, my opinion doesn't matter.
Okay.
Which, even though we closed the pier, we still afforded them the opportunity to continue fishing.
As long as they weren't going to fish on the pier.
Objection in the form of the question.
The lieutenant made the decision to close the pier, so the pier was off limits.
Okay. Was there anything wrong with the pier?
No.
No structural defects?
No.
No dangerous thing going on the pier?
Objection in the form of the question.
No.
There was no reason for the pier to be closed other than to make sure that those 6 individuals were not on the pier with guns, was there?
Objection in the form of the question, argumentative.
Was there any reason other than making sure those 6 individuals were not on that pier with guns to close the pier down?
Objection in the form of the question.
Like I said, I could assume.
I didn't ask you to assume. I asked you if you knew of any reason to close that pier down other than to get those 6 people off that pier.
Objection in the form of the question.
No, I guess.
Okay. to your knowledge, has there been any change in policy that you have been instructed to adhere to regarding how to deal with lawfully armed citizens since June 24th, 2018?
Since the incident,
Yes,
we did have our quarterly training, which did focus on the incident.
Okay. And what were you told in that quarterly training?
Basically, the laws on that statute, reference hunting, fishing, you are allowed to openly carry.
Okay.
It is allowed.
Were you told that you should continue to investigate every case where you see somebody open carrying?
Objection, form of the question.
You were either told to continue investigating every one of those cases, or you were told not to continue. What were you told?
Objection, form of the question.
If an officer sees something suspicious, or if we get a call, we'll investigate it.
Okay. And so you were told that if an officer sees something suspicious, or y'all get a call, you will investigate.
Yes.
And based on your prior testimony, if you're investigating a person with a gun, you're going to take it away from them, right?
Correct.
Okay.
For the time being, until the investigation's over.
Have you received any training or instruction about whether you have to have a reasonable suspicion that they are a felon prior to detaining them to conduct a background check?
Objection, the form of the question.
It's kind of hard to tell if anybody's a felon unless they're a known felon by someone. I won't know that until a records check.
So does that authorize you to stop and detain any person you see with a gun so that you can make that determination?
If they're open carrying without a fishing pole, yeah.
Okay. What if they're open carrying with a fishing pole?
It have to be have to see the circumstances. Are they fishing? Or are they walking down Lincoln Road with a fishing pole? Two different scenarios.
So if you saw a person on South Point Pier today with a fishing pole, openly carrying, would you walk up and ask them for ID?
I may confront them and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Just to investigate a little.
Okay. You wouldn't walk out there with a gun, though, would you? Point it at. Excuse me.
The question.
Excuse me. You wouldn't walk out there and point a gun at them just because they were fishing on the pier.
If they were fishing,
Objection, the form of the question.
If they were fishing, I had no reason to believe they were a sovereign citizen or anybody else, but just a normal person fishing. My suspicion level is a lot lower than it was on that day.
Yeah. Second Amendment violation.
Can we agree that pointing a gun at somebody without a legal basis for doing so is called an armed assault or an aggravated assault?
We could agree to that.
Okay. Can we agree that?
Did he object to that?
I think he did.
He
Did you
objected.
object, Rob?
I did.
Okay. Can we agree that unconsented touching of another person is, without legal justification, is the crime of battery?
Yes.
Can we agree that detaining somebody against their will without a legal basis for doing so is false imprisonment?
Yes.
Okay. In this quarterly training, were you told, or were your trainee or the trainees told that they had done, if there were any errors or mistakes made on June 24th, 2018, and how that situation was handled by the Miami Beach Police Department?
Situation or that incident wasn't talked about, probably because it's an open case.
Mhm.
Obviously, it is. So they're not gonna talk about the things that happened that day. Just a general, if you encounter someone fishing or hunting and they're open carried, they're in their legal obligation too.
Okay. You were told that is a lawful thing to do.
Correct.
Objection, the form of the question.
You were told during the training that a person openly carrying while hunting, fishing, or camping is acting within the law.
Objection, the form of the question.
It was reiterated, yes.
Okay. Were you instructed that you should still make contact and run their background to see if they're a felon or other prohibited person?
Objection, the form.
That would have to be on the officer's discretion or the type of call that comes in through dispatch.
Is that what the training people told you?
I don't remember the specifics except for those big key points.
Okay. Do you know if you got a printed material that day for that training?
I'm sure the training unit could provide that at the Miami Beach Police Station.
Okay. The question was, did you get printed material that day?
I don't remember if I did or not.
Okay. Have you been told by any supervising officer that you did anything wrong during that incident on June 24th, 2018?
No.
As you look back, do you believe you made any errors that day?
No.
Did you make any notes regarding any of these conversations you had with these other officers in between the various times you were turning the video off?
No.
Did you make any written notes that day?
No.
Have you ever received any training on whether or not you can move a person's property in order to get to the serial number or other identifying information on it to check to see if it's stolen?
Objection to form of the question.
Moving as in?
For example, have you ever been trained about searching a house and moving a stereo so you can look at the serial number on the back?
I don't. Training like that, no.
Okay. In the police academy, did you get any training on dealing with law-abiding citizens who are armed?
Who are armed?
Yes.
I'm sure I was, but I can't remember specifics.
Okay. You were trained how to deal with people who you needed to take a gun away from in the police academy?
I'm sure that was part of the curriculum.
Okay. Was that also reinforced by your work with your field training officer?
Field training officer, quarterly and annual training when it's involving firearms. Any updated legal guidelines maybe pertaining to firearms, they'll put it out there.
Have you ever received any training specifically regarding the right of certain people to openly carry or conceal carry firearms in the state of Florida, other than the quarterly training you've already told me about?
I can't remember.
Have you ever received any training regarding citizens' right to bear arms?
Yes, because there are citizens can bear arms.
Okay. Were you taught how to check concealed carry licenses to see if they were valid?
Run the CCW number.
Mm-hmm.
You know, make sure it's good, valid,
okay,
through records.
When you encounter a person with a concealed carry license, how do you search that information to see if it's a valid license?
We usually do it through Channel 4, which is our the records channel on the radios.
Okay. And they check with somebody and let you know, yeah, it's a valid license.
They do what they do, and they tell us, yes, it's good or it's not valid or whatever.
So you tell them this is a license number, they come back a few minutes later or however much later and let you know license is valid.
Yes.
Okay. But even if a person has a valid concealed carry license and all we're dealing with is a speeding ticket, you're still going to completely empty any magazines, right?
It depends on the situation.
Okay, so it's not a standard policy to empty every round out of a magazine when you have to take a gun for your safety.
I don't believe it is. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to review it.
Is it your policy to, and go with the most mundane thing I can think of in the world, yet I know they can be dangerous, pull over somebody for speeding? They're very polite, cordial with you, no aggression, no talking back. Do you normally ask them if they have any firearms in the car?
I usually, and I train officers too, and that's usually that's one of the questions you ask in the initial, license, registration, insurance. Are there any weapons in the vehicle?
Okay. And if they say yes, there's a firearm in the vehicle, do you have a standard thing that you do?
Usually, we'll just keep your hands where we can see them.
That's why if they ask you if it's a gun in the car, there's no reason to tell them. Really, I don't think you're obligated to to tell them actually. You know, I don't think it's a loss and you have to reveal that. You know, so and as soon as you say yes, there's a weapon in the car, that's gonna you have now caused them to escalate the situation. Now they're gonna escalate. Once they know it's a weapon in the car, now they're gonna escalate. Now they want to pull you out the car and search the car when you should have just said no, honestly. If there's no reason for them to search the car, why would you tell them that's a weapon in the car?
Request for a backup option if one's not already arrival. We'll ask them, okay, you know, where is it? It's in my glove. It's in my holster. You know, I got it on my side here. No problem. You know, safely come out or safely go through the glove. Once the gun's secured, okay, now we can continue on with the investigation.
So your standard procedure, even for a traffic accident where they notify you the gun's there, is you're going to get them out of the car and get that gun away from them.
Our priority is to make.
Yes, they're gonna do that. If you tell them you got a gun, they're gonna try to get that gun away from you. Whether they were getting ready to arrest you or not. All they know, as soon as you say yes, it's a gun in the car, in their mind, is to get the gun away from you for officer safety. Because they want to be safer in case they have to shoot you. They don't want you to be able to defend yourself. And that's the only reason, honestly. And to me, it's crazier to tell them that you have a weapon than not tell them, because all they need is your license and registration. That's all. They don't need to know you have a gun or not. And as soon as you tell them they do, that's in their mouth. They switch modes to, we gotta get this gun away from them, and now they're gonna run it. Now they're gonna run you for whatever information, and it's insane. And my thing is, if I have a weapon in the car, I would never tell them, because there's no reason to.
It's safe. So yes.
They want the scene safe for them, not you. They want the scene safe for them.
Because you believe that taking that gun away from them makes the scene safer.
For them, yeah.
Objection, formally question.
All right. You said, if I understood your statement correctly, you always take the gun away from the person,
yes,
no matter what the circumstances, when you're having to investigate something, even a speeding ticket, right?
If I know there's a weapon, whether it's a firearm or a knife, yes.
I'm just going to warn you, Florida law separately defines weapon and firearm. So if I say weapon, I mean anything other than a gun. If I say firearm, I only mean firearm.
Okay.
And that's all I'm worried about today is firearms. So your standard policy to remove a firearm from anybody, no matter what the circumstances, when, and for example, a traffic stop.
Objection, formally question. Go ahead, answer.
Yes.
Okay. And is it your policy that they're not going to have that gun back loaded until after you have departed the scene?
Yep.
Correct. After we cleared, make sure everything checks out. There's nothing, no felony or wanted person or something with a firearm or anything like that. Stolen firearm.
And you've been given.
Yeah. And if you have a felony, then it's even more of a reason why you wouldn't tell them that you have a firearm. If they just pulled you over for a regular traffic stop and they ask you if you have a firearm, there's no reason to tell them that you do. It makes no sense. It doesn't help you at all. It'll never help you.
You have not been given any training at any point to tell you don't do that without having some extra suspicion that there's something going on.
No.
Okay.
He said something?
He said form.
Oh.
Hold on. You say in Florida, you have to let them know if you have one. Where does it say that? Pull up that statute or that. Pull that up and post it in the chat where it says that you have to let them know that you have a firearm. And that doesn't make any sense, because it's been plenty of times where they pulled me over and I didn't tell them if I had one or not, even if I did. And there's no reason, and it's just going to be a normal traffic stop. As soon as you tell them you have a firearm, you have made the situation more hostile for them. They're going to be more hostile with you. So, Twisted T, I need you to look that up and post it in the chat of where it tells you that you have to do that. Because I took the class for concealed carry, and even in that class they didn't say you have to say that you have a weapon, or you have to say that you have a firearm if they pull you over. Even in the class they don't say that. So I need to know where you found that at, that they tell you that.
She's trying to get him down. We're doing the best we can with the situation.
Right. And my thing, okay, if they pull you over for a traffic infraction and they ask you if you have a weapon, if you have a firearm, you tell them no, and somehow they locate your firearm, and whether you're supposed to have it, or, even if you're supposed to have it, what happens because you said no, you didn't have one? What's going to be the charge for that? That makes no sense to me. It'll never help you to tell them that you have a firearm. The only time that you would tell them that you have a firearm is when they obviously can see the firearm. Like if you have it just on you or somewhere. But just to tell them you have it, just to tell them so they know, is insane to me. So I need to know where it tells you that. Y'all drop that statute or that law that says you have to tell them that you have it. Where does it say that at? Right. It makes no sense. Why would you tell them? Yep. Exactly. Why would you tell them? It doesn't help you in any way. And they say that's when you exercise your Fifth Amendment. And you're not a criminal, so there's no reason for you to answer their questions. None of that. If they pull you over, you just give them your license and registration. That's it. If they ask you where
Do you hear any of the officers being critical or condescending of any of the armed citizens on the pier that day?
No.
You didn't hear any officers commenting or joking at people who were complaining that their cuffs were too tight?
I don't recall that, no.
You don't remember any officers saying, well, you got what it was you wanted being out here?
Objection
or anything like that?
Yeah, so when they ask you any question, you can just say, I don't answer questions. And that's really what we're supposed to say.
Sure.
You don't have
You don't remember any officers making any comments like, well, I guess you got a reaction. Maybe it wasn't the one you wanted.
Objection to form of the question.
I don't specifically remember that.
You didn't overhear that on any of the body cam footage
If
you
I
watched?
review the body cam footage and I hear it, then it was said. But at this moment, I don't recall.
So unless it's on the body cam footage, you don't remember it.
I'm not going to remember something from 3 years ago.
You didn't make any written notes about the incident for yourself, did you?
I did not.
Right.
So do you have any memory of anything else specifically that was?
Hold on. You say in Colorado for your CCW, it tell you that you don't have to tell them anyway. And like I said, when I took my class for my concealed, they didn't say anything about, oh, if you get pulled over, you have to tell them. Like, it doesn't say that. That's why I'm trying to figure out what Twisted T was talking about, saying you have to tell them if you have it or not. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Said during the times your body that you said during the times your body cam was off?
The specifics, no.
Okay. Do you remember the specifics of anybody else said to you while your body cam was off?
No.
So we need to rely on your body cam and nothing else in terms of recollection, because you have no independent memory, right?
As far as
form of the question.
As far as exact verbiage, yes.
Okay. Do you remember the general content of any of the discussions while your body cam was turned off?
Objection repetitious. Can answer it again.
And just
so okay. So if you say no and you have one, then I guess that would be under this section. So it's better off to say you don't answer questions at all. And that way you don't give a yes or a no, you just don't answer questions. So if you respond and saying I don't answer questions, then then okay, they can't do anything. I'm guessing that's what this section 83705 says. And I guess that's what you mean by it. So it's best to say that it's best to just say that you don't answer questions. And there's no reason you should. You just give them your license and registration, and that's it. From that point on.
Just the general investigations is probably what was discussed while the camera was off.
Do you remember specifically which other officers you talked to while your camera was off? We already discussed you talked to Lieutenant Garcia. Do you remember anybody else specifically?
On one of the BWCs, you see me talking to Sergeant Salaburia.
That is Jennifer Salaburia?
Jessica, I'm sorry. Yeah. So you see me talking to her with the audio off, and then you see me activating. So it captures the 30 seconds prior to me, finishing my conversation with her and activating it, and then going back to the group.
Okay. Just curious question. Why not just leave it on while you're having this discussion with her?
Objection form of the question.
Just so
answer it. Go ahead.
Just so investigation talks about the investigation, police tactics, things like that aren't captured on BWC.
Well, you already told me police tactics weren't discussed that day.
Well, I'm just giving an example.
Okay. That day, why not just let it record?
Because things have to be discussed.
It wasn't police tactics you were discussing. What about the investigation was so sensitive that you couldn't leave it running?
Objection form of the question.
It's just common practice. The point, the reason for the BWCs is for the interaction with the public, not so much the interaction with other officers.
Have you been warned that officers have gotten in trouble for things?
Yeah. Whether you tell them or not, you're helping them with their investigation against you, and you don't have to do that. So you don't have to answer questions, because all you're doing would be helping them with their investigation against you. And by law, you don't have to help them with their investigation against you. So you just say no. you don't ask questions. You don't tell them yes or no if you have it or not. You just say you don't ask questions. And they're going to keep asking you questions, but you just keep saying that over and over again. And you can tell them you invoke your Fifth Amendment, or you can just say you don't ask questions. It's wild that they will keep trying to ask you questions. Even if you tell them you don't ask questions, they're going to keep asking you different questions. And they're going to ask you like soft questions. And then they're going to start trying to get into it. But you got to know. You got to know your rights.
Things that they've said on their body-worn cameras when they didn't remember they were running.
Objection to form of the question. Argumentative.
Ask me if he's been informed. Have you?
I've seen news stories, yes.
Okay. Did you specifically see a sign that day that prohibited firearms on the pier?
I did, yes.
Okay. Did you take a picture of it?
Yeah.
I don't remember if I did.
Okay. Did you order or instruct any other officer to take a picture of that sign?
I don't remember.
Do you remember if it was a sign that appeared to have been put up by the city of Miami Beach?
Yes.
That's who it appeared to be put up by, was city of Miami Beach?
It's a city pier, so I'm assuming it was a city sign.
Okay. Did that sign say no firearms on it?
The sign had multiple rules,
Mm-hmm.
one of them being no firearms.
Okay. At the point where you walked onto that pier, did you believe that that sign carried some legal weight?
I don't think I even looked at the sign. That wasn't my priority at the moment.
When you walked out there? You mean, you're saying you didn't look at the sign when you first went out on the pier?
That was the least of my worries at that moment.
Okay. Did you look at the sign later that day?
Yes.
Did you actually discuss that sign's existence with any other officer that day?
I may have.
Okay. And did knowing that that sign was out there lead you at some point to believe that they weren't allowed to have guns on the pier, period, because of that sign?
It brought up questions.
Okay. How did you resolve that question?
I didn't resolve anything. It was just the question that was brought up is this sign, what is this sign? Does this sign hold any weight? Does the city have any superseding authority? Okay. You know, those are just questions that were asked, but.
Okay. Did you get any answers to any of those questions that day?
That day, I believe not. I think as time went on, and obviously when the training came in, then it was realized that, okay, the city can't supersede the state or the government, the federal government.
So you understand as you sit here today that it doesn't matter what that sign says, people are allowed to have firearms on the pier, right?
Objection, form of the question.
Today, yes.
Okay. But during that day, while the incident was still going on, it was a question in your mind as to whether or not people could have guns on the pier because there was a sign there, right?
Objection, the form of the question.
It did bring up that question.
And you weren't able to resolve it that day?
I didn't have an answer.
Okay. Do you know if Lieutenant Garcia gave you an answer that day on that issue?
Don't remember.
Do you know if anybody else gave you an answer that day on that issue?
That day, no. I cannot recall.
You signed off on a few of the officers' narratives that they wrote.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that kind of standard operating procedure of your officers? You're going to sign off on their narratives after they're done?
Correct. If they're my officers, I review the reports and make sure there's no spelling errors, and if everything is as accurate as it could be, then yes, I approve it. And
do you know if you interviewed anybody other than the 3 initial responding officers' reports that day?
I would have to double check. I'm I'm sure I approved more reports than just theirs.
Okay.
But my names are on them. If my name's there, then I approved it.
If your name's on it and you approved it, that means you felt like they were sufficiently detailed with their description of the event?
Objection to form of the question.
Correct.
You ever tell them, sorry, this isn't detailed enough, go back and do it again? Just in general, in your job?
There may be times, yeah.
Do you remember if you did that with any of the reports that were about this incident?
I don't believe I rejected. I think there's a way to find out through the records department or something, but I don't know. I don't recall rejecting reports.
Okay. Do you remember Lieutenant Garcia making any comments to anybody that we really need to get this right when we write these reports?
Objection to form of the question.
I'm sure it was mentioned to, make sure you guys document this as accurately, what happened. Make sure it's documented,
Why would he have said that in this case? Does he say that in every case?
Yes, sir.
Form of the question.
That may have been something I may have said,
Okay. Why would you, if you said it, why would you have said something like that about this case?
Realizing where this case was going to end up. We have the Florida Carry people brought their own reporters there, so I'm already seeing, okay, this is something that's going to continue to I guess we're going to have to deal with this for a while. So we want to make sure everything's on point.
You said that the Florida Carry people brought their own reporters to the scene.
Yeah, cameramen.
Okay. Who told you, or what information do you have to support that statement that they brought cameras or reporters to the scene?
They were filming us.
Who was filming you?
One of the cameramen.
Okay. Did that cameraman have press credentials?
I don't recall.
Yes, we all have it.
And they were asking, the public, it's like, which is also on BWC, informing them of the rules, reference open carry and fishing.
Did somebody tell you that Florida Carry arranged to have those reporters there?
No.
Did somebody tell you that Florida Carry arranged to have any cameramen there other than the cameras that were on Mr. Taylor or Mr. Jenkins?
No.
Okay. It's just an assumption you made.
Yes.
You don't have any specific information, knowledge, or evidence that Florida Carry arranged for reporters to be there?
I don't have any of that evidence, no.
Okay.
Yes, man.
You remember any officer laughing about which of Mr. Taylor's shoulders were messed up?
Objection to form of the question.
No.
I asked you earlier about photographing. You don't remember specifically Miss Officer Bacelis? Is that how her name's pronounced?
Bacelis. She's Lozano now.
Okay. You didn't see her specifically photographing any serial numbers or anything?
I did not.
Have you ever taken any classes or continuing education or training offered by the Force Science Institute?
No.
Do you remember the park ranger's name?
No.
Did you ever meet or talk with him after that day about this incident?
I don't think so.
No further questions.
You remember any of the participants that day on the pier mentioning that they had sent notification to the city before the date of their demonstration?
Yes.
Object form.
And do you remember who said that?
I'd have to review the camera. I'm going to assume Taylor.
Did you ever receive any notification that Florida Carry was going to hold an event the day of this incident?
Object form.
I did not.
Did any of the officers, to your knowledge, advise you that they had received notification that Florida Carry was going to hold an event the date of this incident?
Object form.
They were not. They didn't advise me. No.
When the park was closed, the pier was closed, were any officers remaining in the park?
Yes.
And how many?
Lieutenant Garcia advised me to have just 2 officers just hang out in the park area.
What was the reason for that?
One of the gentlemen advised that he was going to continue fishing. Once again, anticipating we're probably going to get calls. It was just easier to just have officers there, and just in case of whatever, in case someone calls, a frantic parent maybe.
Did you know whether these individuals had committed any offenses?
Offenses?
Yes.
No.
Did you know?
Did I know? No.
Did you know if they planned to commit any offenses?
No.
Object form.
No further questions.
You said you left 2 off. Sorry, Mr. Rosenwald. I forget you're on the phone.
You have any?
I'm easily forgettable. No, I don't have any questions. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Wait,
I got a quick redirect.
All right, hold off on the great weekend.
Yeah. So, Sergeant Baldock,
yes.
You said Lieutenant Garcia told you to leave 2 officers there.
Correct.
So the 2 officers.
Yeah, I know this is the same department that what was his name? Castillo. Y'all remember when Castillo showed up at the library? This is it was a video that actually kind of blew my channel up because SAV went ahead and posted that video, but this is the same department, so we already know what to expect from this entire department. It's just terrible. It's a horrible. It seems like they look for the worst people to hire.
We're going to be there anyway, right? Because Mr. Weiss was.
Objection in the form of the question.
2 officers were left there because one of the, I guess, Mr. Weiss said he was going to stay.
Okay. So why not let Mr. Weiss back out on the pier if there's going to be 2 officers there anyway?
Objection in the form of the question.
That wasn't my decision to make.
But doesn't that solve the problem of officers having to come back out for more calls?
Objection in the form of the question.
Whether he was on the pier or fishing from the rocks, it wouldn't have made a difference. It would. People may still call.
And so we're going to have 2 officers there to deal with that, right?
Correct.
So why not let everybody back out on the pier then?
Objection in the form of the question.
Once again, that wasn't my call.
But doesn't that kind of dispute your earlier
How is that not your call?
Possible reason to avoid future calls.
Fictional form of the question.
I didn't make that decision.
Okay.
I think we've heard that a few times today.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
We'll
Sergeant
read.
Baldwin.
Thank you.
Okay. Off the video record at 3:50 p.m.
If eyes could tell the truth.
I'm going to object to this entire series of questions. Simply fishing under the statute does not vitiate the crime of open carry. There are
And number two, your legal opinion is not my concern right now about what the law does or doesn't say. I'm asking the officer a question.
you keep representing to him what a Florida statute says and you're telling him something that's not true. So if you want to keep misquoting the law, you go ahead, but I'm going.
All right, yeah. I just wanted to pull this up real quick, but after this, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, but I want to end it off with this right here because, man.
Make an objection to it.
This is why they need to get rid of qualified immunity really fast.
We're back on the video record at 2:45 p.m.
Sergeant Ball, whose decision was it to approach these individuals in this tactical formation?
Before, to the best of my recollection, we talked about how we're going to approach these gentlemen before we got on the pier, and we all came to the agreement. We're going to approach tactically with our weapons drawn, safely securing each one, and then once they're secure, started the investigation, figuring out what's going on, why are these guys here, see if everything checks out.
At the time you walked onto that pier, had you been given any information by any person that these individuals had made an aggressive move towards anybody?
No.
At the time you walked onto that pier, had you been given any information by any person that these people were in the act of committing a criminal offense?
No. Other than open carry.
Okay. Which you now know wasn't even a crime.
Correct.
Objection in the form of the question.
With the exception.
Take a breath in between, so
Gotcha.
let's object.
With the exception of the fishing or hunting.
So it's your understanding that open carry is a crime unless you are hunting, fishing, or camping.
Correct.
So open carry is also a crime unless you are a law enforcement officer.
Correct.
Okay. So equal weight right there in the same statute, right?
Correct.
So it's not really an exception as much as it is the law of the state of Florida, right?
Objection in the form of the question.
The form of the question.
So the fact that you believe they were committing the crime of open carry when you walked out there was more about your lack of legal knowledge and lack of your knowledge of Florida law, and not the fact that they were committing a crime, right?
Objection in the form of the question, argumentative.
Question. He wasn't wrong.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know the results of this lawsuit. Somebody just sent me this deposition to check out. I don't really know exactly what happened with this case yet. I don't know if it's been ruled on it or anything yet. I'm gonna do more research after this stream, and I'm gonna check it out more and see what's going on with it. But this is the first time I'm seeing it, just like y'all. Well, if you haven't seen it already, for the people that have seen it already, just know that this is my first time.
He was right about the law.
You can answer.
Okay, repeat the question.
You did not have knowledge that fishing allowed them to openly carry at that time, correct?
Objection in the form of the question.
At that time, my top priority was officer safety and safety of the public.
Not the question I asked, sir. Madam Court Reporter, can you read the question back?
Question: you did not have knowledge that fishing allowed them to openly carry at that time.
I'm going to object to this entire series of questions. Simply fishing under the statute does not vitiate the crime of open carry. There are numerous other elements.
Mr. Rosenwald, that is number one, a speaking objection, which we know how Mr. Switkus feels about that. And number two, your legal opinion is not my concern right now about what the law does or doesn't say. I'm asking the officer a question.
What my concern is that you keep representing to him what a Florida statute says and you're telling him something that's not true. So if you want to keep misquoting the law, you go ahead, but I'm going to make an objection to it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, officer, you now understand that it is not a crime to have an open carried firearm while fishing, right?
Objection in the form of the question.
I understand that, yes.
Okay. But that was not your understanding on the day of this incident, was it?
Join.
You can answer.
My understanding at that moment was that they were open carrying.
And that they were violating the law by doing so.
Correct.
Objection to form.
Two entitled women show how quickly a combative attitude.
All right, y'all. So let me just talk to y'all real quick. What are y'all thoughts on this? We watched this. Well, first we watched them approach them with guns. The way that they approached them and handled that situation was insane. And then we see this deposition where this cop is just dancing around all the questions. He won't be direct with his answers. He won't just say yes or no. He was even questioned about whether he knows if they were fishing or not. And he says, oh, they were just standing around fishing rods with fishing equipment, but I don't know if they were fishing or not. Which is, come on, insane. They weren't holding the rods. When they approached them, they weren't holding the rods in their hand. So I don't know if they were fishing or not. Even though they have all this fishing equipment with them. It's just insane. You know, it makes no sense. Yeah, y'all. But this is the same department that Castillo works at. I'm not sure how many people on the stream seen that video of Castillo trying to. It seemed like he was trying to press me for filming at the library, and the way he was going about it was insane. And you know, it was just a terrible situation for no reason. But that gave me an eye to what I was gonna experience when I first started going out there and exercising my rights. And that was around the time when I first started, and that gave me a insight to what I was gonna experience in the future. So at that point, I knew that this is something I need to do. I need to go out there and exercise my rights, and I just did that and showed y'all, and that's what got my channel going. But yeah. But anyway, this has been a long stream. I'll catch y'all a little bit later, maybe tomorrow. I think there's actually another deposition to check out, and we'll go ahead and see that next time. But I say, with that being said, AWB, I'm out. I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being on this stream with me. And yeah, I appreciate y'all. What's up? So I say, AWB, I'm out. I'm not sure how you say that. Is it Sigovit or Sigovit? I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you.